Welcome to tonight's stream. I'll hand you over to Zach now, and we're just getting started.
Very good evening to you, Rob. Hi, everyone. We're a little bit late off the line tonight. We missed the start completely, in fact, but technical issues did prevent us from going straight off the top. However, the good news is round 7 of the production car series for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. Of course, a big thanks to the people at Central Coast Subaru and also LJ Hook again for their support of the series. And of course, it's another doubleheader tonight because we've got the Stock Car Racing Series coming up on the back end of this race as well. They're about to go qualifying in not too long from now at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Canada. So again, another weekend of or another Friday night of doubleheader action. And instead of having an Asian and American flavour or an American and American flavour, it's Europe and America tonight. You can see the production cars on circuit here. I think we're lap 6 now of this race from the Alton Park Foster's circuit in the United Kingdom. We've got 2 in-race reporters that we can lean upon tonight. Actually, we've only got one because Nico's not in the chat room. He actually did say to us at the start of the evening, I might actually attempt to properly race this time around. It's serving him well because he's sitting there in position number 6 at the moment. But our in-race reporter and our usual host is Nick, and he's online for us, mate. And so far, you're sitting in the top 10. The start didn't go to plan for you. Let's be perfectly honest. You got held up badly on the opening lap, but you're redeeming yourself rather nicely as we hit the quarter-way mark of the race.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting start. I don't think we've done this chicane before, but I wish everybody knew the track before we went in. But everybody came to stop the chicane, so made a bit of an interesting race. But slowly making my way through. I'm finally in the top 10 now, starting from the back. So we'll see how we go.
Indeed, we will. Rob, if you can just feed me a direct feed of what you're distributing at the moment, mate, that'd be very helpful through our chat window here. And as we continue on, we might run you through the running order at the moment. It's Michael Hammond on top. He's 2.5 seconds clear of Sammy Bobby. And then, of course, Xander Antonov, the young Excel racer, he's sitting there in 3rd. Keen Adard is 4th and Simon Ferris 5th. Nico's in 6th. And then Dale's in 7th. Josh Thomas, Nick, and also Josh Millard rounding out the top 10 at this point in time. I've got a direct feed of watching of what Nick's doing at the moment. You're about 5 seconds off the next car ahead of you there, mate. Just heading into turn 1 now as you cross the start-finish line. Josh Thomas is your next target, and you've now moved into 9th place. Obviously, a 40-minute race around here. We've got a few different things to consider, haven't we? We've got fuel, we've got the potential for a virtual or a full safety car, tyre wear is another thing, but let's focus on what we're driving tonight. The Mazda MX-5, a marvellous little production car if ever there was one.
Yeah, the current model NC MX-5, it's a brilliant car. I guess in Australia, the closest thing we get to this kind of car production racing will be the 86 series. But this thing there's a reason why it's the most popular sports car sold around the world, and we're discovering that tonight.
Of course, actually in New South Wales, they actually, I'm not sure if they still do, but I'm confident in saying that they do, a Mazda MX-5 Cup on AASA sanctioned events down there at Wakefield Park in Goulburn and also at Sydney Motorsport Park. Even though we more associate with the Toyota 86s, there is a little cluster of Mazda MX-5s doing their thing in a Mazda MX-5 alone series, which is, well, that's not the word I was looking for, but you know what I mean. Sorry, mate.
Single make series.
Single make, yeah, exactly. We're very rusty tonight, folks. Bear with us; it'll improve as we get closer to 11 o'clock. Michael Hammond, the leader here, 4.5 seconds the margin at the moment, and I'm just waiting for a lot of feedback.
Dropped out of second place, and I got a gut feeling he had a off track or a cut track, so he had to give up some time. So that puts
He's
Xander
using this for Yeah, he's
using-
dropped down into fourth position, and Kian Adard has jumped up into third as a result of all of that. So Bobby down into fourth. Watch how he fights his way back through the field. Xander Antonov is 5.6 seconds off Michael Hammond at the moment, and you are rapidly closing in on eighth position and Josh Thomas at the moment, my friend. Talk us through the Alton Park circuit, if you could, please.
Yeah, so I'm just went off track there. I'm coming across the line now. As we head into turn one, this is a very late apex. You've got to get the turn in particularly right because it's right around before you get the apex, and I've missed it. That's all right. There's some grasscrete on the exit here. Don't use too much of that because you get a off track. Then we come down through Cascades here into the right-hander, dab of the brakes into the left. The longer track's over to the left there, and then we're going to brake down here for this 90-degree right, back to second gear, carry a bit of speed because we've got to get up to the chicane. Nearly get the tyres at the chicane, go through the chicane, and then back up through, I believe it's called Foster's, up the hill, probably the best part of the circuit now. Got Michael Porter closing in on me after that mistake, but that's all right. Then we got this double apex fast, third gear, coming back from fourth to third in this right-hander, which sets you up for the second last corner here, or the last corner. I think it's Lodge. A really good passing opportunity down here. Back one gear, back to third. Carry the brakes in just so you can get to the apex, and then through what they call Deer Leap, which is all those classic BTCC shots, and back across the line. It's a really simple circuit. It's pretty much a square. And do a minute 13 on that last lap.
When you say that, it's a bit like a square. You're absolutely right. And as you said it, the first track that sort of sprung to mind for me was the former Sydney Olympic Park street circuit.
Yeah, that's a bit bigger of a square.
Yeah, just a little bit bigger. No, a terrific little race course here, the Alton Park Foster's layout. I was crunching the numbers there earlier. 2.656 kilometres this configuration. The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit is 3.957, so we're heading there a little bit later on. And we've seen a mix of long tracks for the production cars and short tracks for the stock cars. This week, it's the stock cars with the longest circuit, as it was last week. They were on the road course at Daytona. Now, I just want to update you on the running order. I've got a. We're getting better, ladies and gentlemen. I've now got a timing screen in front of me, so I can do this efficiently and adequately without relying on Nick too much. But I haven't got a direct feed of what you're seeing at home just yet. Michael Hammond is on top, 5.9 the margin to Xander Antonov. Kian Adard is sitting third at this point in time. So those numbers are 789 and 301. And then, of course, you go back to the 968 of Sammy Bobby. And then our good mate Nico, 348. He's riding fifth at this point in time. The 313 of Simon Ferris is sixth. Then the 32 of Dale's. And Nick, you can remind me what Dale's first and last is, please. Gerard Daly. I was going to say Gerard, and then I thought, nah. I'm again just having a brain fade as I look at the leaderboard here. And then, of course, yourself, you're up there into eighth position now. We have. And just waiting to see if you're closing in on Gerard. It looks like he's the next car up. The 13 seconds, is it? So you're coming up on lap traffic there at the moment, are you?
Yes, that's William Pym.
And Pym's now sitting down in position number 15. So a field of 18 tonight. Chris Polly and Corey Bourne not taking the start, but posting a time earlier in the piece in the practice sessions. So the battle we will be watching is Kian Adard and Sammy Bobby. That battle for third, only about 0.4 of a second separating them at this point in time. Going to see if I can bring up the Facebook live feed and go with that for the moment until I get an in-house feed here in the studio in Ipswich. And good to have you along for the ride wherever you're joining us from all around the world tonight. Facebook Live, if you are tuning in, say good day. Let us know what you're looking forward to most tonight. Of course, the production cars, they've been good right here thus far. And then, of course, a little bit later on, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for stock cars. That will be a lot of fun. Don't worry about that. Nick will be in commentary with me for that. And a g'day to Ryan Hughes and also Cliff Sedgley, who are joining us via Facebook Live. I'm getting that information coming through to me now. Round 7 of the Stock Car and Production Racing Series for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. LJ Hooker Gaindar and Central Coast Subaru. We thank them very much for their support. 23 and a half minutes left in the motor race here. We're almost 19 minutes in, actually. So that number will be a little bit south of 23. Nick, from your standpoint, it's been pretty uneventful race thus far.
Oh, well,
to an extent.
Careful at the start.
Yeah.
And just passing people. So I'm not really closing on the guys in front, and I'm getting close on my incident count here. So my off tracks. So I've just got to be careful now.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Got to keep it on the black stuff.
100%.
But now it's really uneventful. I've got 3 seconds in hand behind me, or 4 seconds, and I've got 13 to make up in front. So, yeah, going to be a boring race here, just doing hot lap.
Yeah, well, if we get a clamp down situation and the field bunches up, that might be your chance to rip on through, as you did a couple of weeks ago. So, to those of you tuning in, we thank you for joining us. As you can see there in the top left corner of your screen, new graphics tonight. Our producer, director, Rob Hazelden for Doadrift. And a reminder, like the Doadrift Facebook page, follow the Doadrift page on Twitch as well, subscribe there. Tune in for all the action when we go racing on a Monday and a Friday night here from the Gentlemen's Racing Club. You'll see the new graphics in play tonight, and they are going to look particularly good when we go NASCAR racing. Reminds me of the NASCAR on Fox graphic from a couple of years ago, if I'm honest. And even still, actually, even better, the NASCAR on NBC graphics as well. So there's a little bit of a professional touch to our graphics this evening. Rob's been working hard at that throughout the course of the week.
Good job, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. This circuit, when we think about Alton Park and we think about all these great British touring car circuits, obviously British touring cars is the first thing that comes to mind. But they're good racetracks, and that's why the British touring cars is such the show that it is, Nick.
100%. And speaking of show, we just got our yellow flag.
We just got our clamp down, our safety car, yep. So there's your chance, 16. Mate, to bunch up.
Yeah, I just got to watch the contacts. I haven't got many left, so.
No.
and my fuel number has just come up now, so looks like we're all pitting.
And that was a talking point coming into this, wasn't it? The fuel and tire ratio, the strategy, the gamble, everything else. You weigh it up before you start this thing every single week. We know it's going to be a factor. We know that some will gamble with their tire selection, but everyone's going to have to address fuel at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. The pit lane is still closed now, so it's just all about catching. We're letting lap cars back past now. And I'm still going flat out and still not catching these guys under safety car.
Which is extraordinary. I was just having a look at the two different feeds. I'm looking at you ripping and tearing through turn 1 at the moment. And the rest of the field heading up towards, I'd say, turn 2 there. So the safety car on circuit. And now it looks as though the safety car has somewhat got the top 6 or 7 cars under control. I'll have a little bit of play here, Nick. I've been watching your feed through the iRacing platform, which has now finally been set up with courtesy and thanks to the Gentlemen's Racing Club. I'm now just going to head back through and see what I can find. There's one car in the pit lane. Picked up the pace car. Michael Hammond's the leader. Xander Antonieff is second. Behind him is Kian Haddad. Behind him is Sammy Bobby, of course. So the top four here, it's going to be on when this race gets back underway. But you'd favour Michael Hammond again. I'd say, Nick, he's been formidable in any car we've chucked him in over the last few weeks. A little bit of misfortune coming his way on a couple of occasions, but the last couple of weeks he's been unstoppable as everyone heads into the pit lane.
As we get the one to go, and I don't want to get contact. Oh, man. Why are they staying up so much?
What scenes in pit lane, ladies and gentlemen, as you watch it live here, that was bedlam and then some. It was like peak hour on the M1. Everyone just poleaxed into the pit lane.
Looks like everybody's getting tyres. I'm getting tyres, and no one's left pit lane yet. So
interesting to see a small circuit, a car that's normally good on tyres, everyone taking at least 2, maybe 4 in some cases.
Yeah. And damn it. I just got caught speeding on pit lane.
Oh, dear.
End of the longest line.
Exactly. Kian Haddad's been...
Just quickly, guys, I know there's an issue with the in-game sound. So I know you're hearing Discord, you're hearing the commentary, but you're not hearing the engine sounds. I'm working on that at the moment. I do apologize. I'm not sure what's causing it. But hopefully I'll have it up and running in a second. So I do apologize.
No worries. Thank you for that, Rob. We'll check back with you very shortly. Just having a look here at the running order now. Kian Haddad's been leapfrogged by our good mate Paul Nico. He's jumped up in the pit stop. Xander Antonieff is ahead of him. Jared Daly ahead of him. Chris Kisby is sitting second, and Michael Hammond is now the race leader. Actually, Kisby's a lap down, so he should get a wave around, I think, this time round. There he goes now. So order restored. It'll be Hammond, Antonieff, Haddad, Bobby, and Nico. Lights still on the safety car. Field comes back across the line this time. Friday Night Motorsport doesn't get much better than this, folks. We apologise. We know you're looking forward to hearing the sound of the Mazda MX-5s rip and tear around Alton Park, but we can't bring that to you at this time. We'll do our best to get that back up and running, especially in time for the stock car race, which is coming up from the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park a little bit later on this evening. Lights are now out on the safety car, so now the field is in the hands of our new race leader, Sammy Bobby. So Bobby, there's the big news, folks. Bobby has leapfrogged Hammond in the pit stop. Jared Daly sits third, then Xander Antonieff and Paul Nichols. Then Kian Haddad is sixth. So the order's received a bit of a shake-up. And as I say, I'm working on a manual feed tonight, so I've got my screen now set to follow Sammy Bobby off the restart here with Michael Hammond in behind. Hammer time. Nick is sitting down in 10th at the moment, so not only did the speeding in pit lane cost you, mate, but the pit stop cycle as a whole has cost you down. You've dropped from, I think it was 8th going into the pit stop cycle.
Oh, I came back in 8th, but just that little bit of speeding on the pit lane just ruined me.
So down in 10th you sit. Let's wait and see what you can do with that. Do you cop any other penalty after this or not?
No, just got to go to the end of the line.
Just got to go to the end of the queue.
It's still telling me to let another car pass, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway.
Well, the good news is, mate, you've got, a lapse time says 27 and 39. So somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 15 minutes to redeem that. We get set for the restart here. Pace car will pull off. Sammy Bobby will lead the field across the line, and we're back underway at Alton Park. Bobby leads Hammond. Jared Daly third. Xander Antonov sitting there in fourth at the moment as they head to turn one. And already Hammond under a little bit of pressure from Antonov. The youngster fancies his chances to find a way by Hammond as they head down to turn two. But Hammond's up to the challenge from the youngster there at the moment. Now he's got a bigger challenge on his hands, and that's getting by Sammy Bobby, who has clear air in front of him. Dusk at Alton Park, lights ablaze. Inside the final 15. 13 and 47 on the clock. It said there a second ago, and it's saying 12 laps to go. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully we won't go time certain here. Hammond chasing Bobby. Antonov is third. Jared Daly, that is, of course, fourth. Then Paul Nichols is fifth. Hammond all over the back of Bobby at the moment. And if you're Sammy Bobby, you're worried about Hammond closing in, but you've got to drive every lap to perfection, or otherwise you're going to lose out regardless. Across the line. Pressure motor racing at the front here. Hammond right on his tail now going through turn one. So it's only a matter of time before the man that led this race right up until the safety car interval gets back to the front. Bobby, Hammond, Antonov, Daly, Nichols. Then Adard, Ferris, Thomas, Porter, Millard, Pym. Nick's dropped down to 14th as a result of that pit penalty. And he'll look to redeem at least a top 10 finish in all of that. And look, Bobby's pulled out 2 car lengths on Michael Hammond there. And Antonov has closed right onto Hammond's tail. Is this the night that Hammond meets his match? Alton Park. Serving up a Mazda MX-5 Instant Classic here. One car kissing the grass on the exit of that previous corner. You saw it at the top of your screen. Couldn't quite pick up who it was from this angle. Across the line again. There's going to be 10 laps to go. Bobby holding on from Hammond. A car length in it. They head towards turn 2. Great little course here, Alton Park. We've got a spinner down the back. I'll try and pick up a number for you in just a moment. That's happened on your screen there about 15, 20 seconds ago. I actually didn't quite see it as it happened. I'm looking at a different shot to the shot that you're getting at the moment, folks. Again, just a couple of technical gremlins at the moment, but we're going to sort that out in time for our stock car race this evening. The battle at the front is electric. If we can get back there, it's on between Sammy Bobby and Michael Hammond. And Bobby is doing his best to just hold Hammond at bay here. Nick, let's get a quick update from you, mate. Back up into 12th after dropping to 14th. It hasn't been the easiest night at the office for you.
Yeah, people not following instructions, and then when the race went green, I was way behind everybody. So, having to battle my way through. Just got past my teammate. He let me through there, and just on Josh Millard's tail now going into turn.
Copy that, mate. Thank you. We'll let you concentrate for a minute. And we look forward to having a bit more of a detailed chat with you through the course of the stock car race later this evening, of course. Look at Hammond right on the tail here of Sammy Bobby. And further back in the field, I'm just trying to pick up the cars that you're looking at the moment there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having trouble picking up the number. I think it might be... I'm going to say it's probably our mate Nico and... no, I'm... 14, there we go. No, apologies, folks. I actually can't pick up who we're following there at the moment. But I will tell you that if we can get back to the front, there's a cracking battle on for the lead of this car. An absolute rip snorter of a battle, and we're missing out. Sammy Bobby is 3 car lengths clear of Michael Hammond, and there's been not much more than that separating them from the outset here at Alton Park. Second is Hammond, third is Antonov, fourth is Adard ahead of Nichols, then Ferris. Jared Daly 7th, 8th is Michael Porter, 9th is Josh Thomas, then Nick's coming through. Josh Millard, then down the order, Chris Kisby sitting there, the last of the on-track runners at this point in time. What a cracking battle this is between Sammy Bobby and Michael Hammond, though. And now you're finally seeing that too, folks. This is the race for the lead. And again, just apologies. We've got quite a few of you joining us via Doadrift, via Facebook.
We
via
have the
Twitch.
sound back now, Zach, as far as I know. So if anyone can let me know if there's any issues, but I believe everything is up and running properly now.
Excellent, beautiful. If you can give me a direct feed of what you're showing on the live feed, that'd be even better. Because at the moment, I'm not making any sense probably to anyone that's watching at home. But we'll make sense of this race for you very shortly. The race lead, however, Rob, thank you very much for getting the sound issues sorted, is on between Sammy Bobby and Michael Hammond, and we need to get there and have a look at this because this is an absolute rip snorter.
And they're trash talking each other at the front too, I can hear.
Yes, I can imagine. Hammond now down the inside. Hammond is just taking the lead. That's what you're seeing there on your screen, folks. And apologies, because for some reason, I don't know what it is. For some reason, I'm getting a different colour on my iRacing screen to what you're getting at home on Michael Hammond's car, and that's what's been throwing me between the two feeds. But thankfully, we can tell you that Michael Hammond, after 5 laps of trying, has found his way into the lead as the cars come into the lane. Now, here we go. This is quite interesting and probably unexpected. Hammond, Antonov, and Bobby into the lane. Or did Xander continue on? I'll find out for you in a moment. This is an absolute rip snorter of a battle between Hammond and Bobby, but they've thrown us a curveball by going into the lane.
They didn't take enough fuel at the stops. I thought I heard them say something about that. They have a crew chief, so to speak, a computerized program which tells them how much they need for the race, and clearly miscalculated. And I think all 3 of them use the same program, that is.
Well, there you go. So that's going to completely change the complexion of this race. With Hammond and Bobby in the lane, Xander Antonov is your race leader. How good is this? The youngster from Series X3 and before that, the Track Attack Australia XL Cup here in Queensland, leading the way in the Mazda MX-5s at the Alton Park Foster's circuit in the United Kingdom. The fact that Hammond is only just going through the back section of the circuit now, he's lost an incredible amount of time here. In fact, Hammond has come out in 8th position and Bobby in 9th. Antonov leads Ferris, Nichols, Jared Daly, Porter, and Nick is now up into 6th spot. 9.4 seconds separates the top 6 in the motor race. And the boys that were dominating at the front of the field have completely and utterly made a shambles of this. And they won't be happy. What's the chat been like in race communication, Nick? I know you've been listening to obviously my dribble, but also what the drivers have been saying. Have they been blowing up as much as they were last week?
Not as much as last week, but now they've gone quiet since they've all gone through pit lane.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Head down, bum up, I guess.
Would you believe that? What a stitch up. 5 laps to go here, 4:42 on the clock, so time certainly might get the better of us here. We'll wait and see. Or actually, depends on when the last lap board gets chucked, whether it's going to be this side of the time elapsing or the other side. We'll wait and see with interest here. So, Antonov, Ferris, Nichols, the race leaders here. We hope you're enjoying Friday Night Motorsport for the Gentlemen's Racing Club for Doadrift, of course, or on Doadrift. Stock car racing still to come from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park very shortly. We look forward to getting out there. Good field for the stock cars tonight as well. They'll be qualifying at this point as we enter the closing stages of our production car battle here. Xander Antonov 4.4 seconds clear of Ferris and Nichols. Ferris and Nichols, 0.5 of a second separates them. This is a battle that's going to erupt over the next couple of minutes for those minor placings, second and third here. And we have picked that up now as they go across the start-finish line, I do believe. Through turn one, the run up towards Cascades, yes. The short, the corners that separate the short and the long of the circuit, or that join them together, I should say. And Xander Antonov, would you believe this, ladies and gentlemen? 4.1 seconds clear he is right now over Nichols and Ferris. So Nichols has found his way into second spot. Jared Daly fourth, Michael Porter fifth. Nick, our good mate, our co-commentator, he's sitting there in sixth right now. Thomas is seventh, then Sammy Bobby. So Hammond has slipped back down to 12th in all of that. He will be spewing at the end of this. There's no doubt about that. I don't think we'll be hearing from Hammond tonight in the post-race chat window. Something tells me. Now, there's some good there are some good battles happening further down the order as well, including this battle here between Jared Daly, Michael Porter, and I believe yourself as well, Nick. You're right on the tail of these guys here. In fact, you've just got past them. You've just got past them. Yeah, my leaderboard's just updated, so you can see Nick on your screen there, folks. He's just gone up into position number 4, and position number 5 is Jared Daly, and behind him and Michael Porter. So these guys are now 4th, 5th, and 6th, and would you believe it? You're only 3 seconds off Ferris and Nichols. So the battle for... You've got a chance of a podium here, mate.
Oh, it's one more lap, though. We're coming up to a minute 15, maybe 2 more laps. I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. It says 2 laps to go on my screen. I think we might be lucky to get that last lap in. Look at the sun starting to set there at Alton Park. Lights ablaze on these MX-5s. I like this night racing concept, this twilight racing concept. More of that, please.
White flag now, so this will be the last lap.
So white flag in the air, last lap board. And we follow our race leader. I'm just trying to pick up where Xander Antonov is in all of this. 2.7 seconds he's got on Nichols, Ferris, then Nick, then Jared Daly, then Michael Porter, and then Josh Thomas. And our race leader, Xander Antonov, is on the way home. However, I wouldn't call him exactly comfortable because the chasing pack, Nichols and Ferris, have closed the margin to 2.7 seconds. Just hold on to it, youngster. Smooth, fast, consistent, no mistakes, and you'll win the thing. Nichols and Ferris fighting over the same piece of real estate. This is second and third. Great livery on the Nichols entry tonight. Have a look at that. The Subaru throwback from the WRC days. How good's that? Now, we're running out of corners here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, apologies for the technical issues we've had so far, and that started with not being able to get on air in time for the race start. But what you've seen has been pretty good. Checkered flag's going to be out here this time. It'll be young Xander Antonov winning his first race in the iRacing platform. for the Gentleman's Racing Club, and he is delighted with that, so much so that he throws the car over the wall at turn 1 and immediately starts the donut treatment. Second to Nichols, third to Ferris. Nick's going to come home for 4th. Good racing in the end. Porter's come home 5th, Jared Daly 6th, Semi Bobby 7th, and then Josh Thomas in 8th. Blake Urquhart was 9th, and then Millard was 10th. The Gentleman's Racing Club Production Car Series, round number 7. And Xander Antonov is your race winner on a Friday night. Well done, Nick. Another top 5 finish for you, and also well done to our good mate Paul Nichols for coming home in 2nd. And have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. All the boys into the donut treatment out of turn 1 there. Smoke everywhere in that section of the circuit right now. And that is, I have to say, that's a fantastic performance from all and sundry. Although the 2 blokes that lost out completely were Sammy Bobby coming back to 7th and Michael Hammond coming back to 12th. Paul, well done, mate. Focusing on the racing and not worrying about talking to us idiots. That served you very well, mate. 2nd outright.
That was a cracking race. I don't know what happened between Sammy and Mikey Hammond, but
it was a fuel issue.
Was a cracking race. Oh, fuel issue, was it? Yeah,
they underfueled. So Xander Antonov's in our server at the moment, so we might try and bring him into the chat thread so we can have a chat to him there. But yeah, for the 2nd time in about 4 weeks, fuel has been the story of Michael Hammond's downfall, quite unfortunately. But Paul, Mazda MX-5s, Alton Park, it was a little bit confusing for me because I was getting 2 different feeds here in the studio, but from what I saw and what we could make of it, that was a cracking race.
Oh, that was one of the best fun races I've had. And it's that track, you have to concentrate so hard because the car is sliding. It's got so many undulations, and the back chicane area through the tyre bundles, you have to be so precise through there. That's a cracking circuit for this car.
Indeed it is, mate. We're going to come back to you in a moment. We're going to talk to the bloke that finished in front of you and quite comfortably so on the end. 2.3 seconds, the winning margin. Xander Antonov, welcome to Victory Lane, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
You got to be happy with that, mate. I mean, it worked into your favour, obviously, with what happened with Michael Hammond and also, of course, Sammy Bobby. They had an underfuel issue in the pit stop. But you must have been feeling the pressure there in the closing stages as well, because we were watching the lead trim down from 4.5 seconds to 4 seconds, and then 3 and 2.7 there going into the last lap. The pressure was on.
Oh yeah, pressure was on. Really, my main goal for the end of the race was just to put slow, smooth laps in so I didn't stuff up. But I was also trying to be careful because my shoelaces got caught into my into the throttle, so my throttle got stuck on. So yeah, I was just trying to take it nice and slow and smooth for the last part of the race, and yeah, came home with a win.
Very well done, mate. Nicely done. Is that your? Am I right in saying that's your first win in the iRacing platform in this series?
Yeah, it's my first ever race in this series. First ever win in this series, and to be honest, it's my first time around this track in this car, so I'm pretty happy with it.
And so you should be, mate. Well done, Nico.
Awesome drives there, Andrew. That was fantastic. Were you fuel saving at the end there? I thought I was kind of catching you. I didn't know if you were fuel saving or not.
No, I wasn't fuel saving. I was, as I said, I was just trying to keep the car on the road and didn't stuff up and run off. So
yeah, you did a great job, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty happy with it.
I appreciate the amount of people we've got in the chat window here at the moment. I'm not probably going to have time to get to all of you because we've got to stop and attend to some tech issues here in the studio. But let's quickly go to Michael Porter and get your thoughts on all of this, mate. You come home in 5th, chasing down Nick in the closing stages after he tore through the field. What did you make of the 40 minutes we just had?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a bit of a shocker actually at the start. I just completely stuffed up the first few corners and sort of slipped back a fair bit. And but it was pretty fun though. Had a good battle with Dales too for a few laps. And yeah, Nick got me. I couldn't catch him. I don't think I was going to. but it was fun.
And we'll come back to you in a moment, Michael. Dave Farrelly, just quickly tell us about your night, mate. 14th, probably not the result you were hoping for.
Absolute disaster, mate.
Short, sharp, and sweet. Tell us what happened, mate. We didn't actually get to see much of your race.
I was doing really well, coming through the field. And just got caught up with a real amateur, and he put me off. Took the front wheels off the car, everything.
Oh dear, that not the result you were hoping for, but hopefully bounce back next week.
Oh yeah, I'm back, but just amateur stuff. That's all.
Amateur stuff was how much of a blow up was there in the chat room in amongst? Because I know you drivers talk amongst yourselves during the racing. Was there any real stinks going on there?
I just said me piece just quickly, but that's about it.
As you do, mate. Hard luck, but we look forward to seeing you again next week. Michael, the racing's been terrific. Your scrap there in the closing stages. You obviously had Jared Daly in amongst the midst of that battle as well. How difficult is it to just perform consistently on a circuit like this?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult because it's quite technical, and also it is very narrow, so there's not a whole heap of room for overtaking.
Yeah.
So it's sort of got to give each other a bit of room, and awesome fun. Yeah, awesome fun those last few laps. We had a good time. Fantastic
stuff, mate. Well done again. And Nick, just a couple of summations from your cockpit.
Pandemonium, making my way from the back. So as I like to say, burn from the stern, and I started getting a high count of the incidences, so I had to make sure I had to make the last back half of the race real clean, and I was still pushing super duper hard at the end there. So I was quite happy with my performance,
as you should be.
Thank you. It was very tough, and I can't imagine if we had 40 cars on the grid for that one. It'll be crazy.
It would be a tough track. I just want to shout out to Josh Thomas and All Certs vehicle certifications on the Gold Coast. Thank you guys for the support.
Big thanks to the team at All Certs. Big thanks also to LJ Hooker Gaindar and Central Coast Subaru as well, but particularly to All Certs for the production car support. Stick around, folks, because the stock cars are coming up for you very shortly. Thanks to all the drivers that have jumped in to have a chat to us. We didn't get to run through this because we were on air a little bit late, and we apologise for that, folks. Shane Whitt was leading this series coming into tonight, 212, but he wasn't on the grid tonight. So it's a championship changing round because Michael Hammond, despite that poor result down in 12th spot, he will take the lead here. He was only 3 points away from Shane Whitt coming into that round. So it was 212 playing 209 and Dave Farrell on 167. Chris Polly also not racing tonight. He on 156. Dean Williams on 147 and Jared. Final summations and all that, boys. Paul, what do you make of it?
Yeah, a great combination. I think we'll come back here. I think it's an awesome track, awesome combination. The clue for next week. We're going to hatch a German front-wheel drive.
German front-wheel drive. Okay.
I know what car that is already.
Well,
what track is, we'll figure that one. Oh, I know the track too.
Yeah, I was going to say when he said hatch.
Track's in the clue.
When he said hatch, I knew exactly where we were going, and German. Okay, well we'll let everyone have a think about that at home. The car, at least. I think everyone's worked out the circuit. Rob, if you're listening to us, I don't like talking to directors via the main feed here, but we need to just mute the commentary for a few minutes to sort out a couple of tech things, if that's at all possible. And then, of course, we're going to regroup very shortly, folks, because in around 6-7 minutes, we're going to go stock car racing for you. We're going to cross the Atlantic again and head to the motorsport circuit, the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit in Canada. So hang tight for that. Stick around. We look forward to your company next week for more production car racing as well. And well done to Xander and Tony for a great win tonight.
Yeah, not a problem there, Zach. I'll certainly do my best to try and mute you.
I appreciate that.
Look, I think I've got most of the sound issues sorted. I've had a bit of a mix-up with sound equipment here, and looks like it's being a typical computer and being difficult. But look, I think that should. Alright everyone, now I'll just be switching over, so if you just hang tight for a second, we will switch over to the TA2 series.
I need a little patience, a little separation for my health. I'm really good at waiting, but lately I've been waiting by myself. It sounded good on paper, but that's the reason why I had to leave, surrounded by this vapor. I thought it was the air that's hard to breathe. Whoa, I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. Whoa, I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. Whoa, I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. It probably wasn't worth it. I never knew it'd be the hardest part, but how was I to know that when everything was working at the start? I still remember dancing, but you would always dance 2 steps ahead. They always mention falling. I didn't know I'd fall right through your hands. Whoa, I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. Whoa, I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. Whoa, I guess I found a reason, guess I found a reason. Keeping me all night, keeping me all night. Keeping me all night, keeping me all night. Keeping me all night, keeping me all night. Keeping me all night, keeping me all night, all night.
stick around and just have a chat
Oh.
with Rob.
All right, everyone, we are back, and I've just noticed that for whatever reason, guess what's disappeared again?
The sound.
The sound from me. This is testing me, but it's all right. Let's see if I can fix this quickly. I'll leave you with Zach, and hopefully in a second you will hear the sound of those engines roaring.
And Nick's now with me in a commentary capacity as well. And just as I set things up here, we might get you to run us through what's been happening in the stock car series thus far, because we're 4 rounds to go. This is round 7 of 10. And the racing last week at the Daytona Road Course was absolutely sensational, and it set us up for a fascinating final 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's getting tighter at the top. The gap to Glenn Postlethwaite, is closing down. So it'll be interesting to see. Currently, we have Callum Watmore on the pole on a 19.8 with Glenn Postlethwaite in second on a 19.8 as well. Chris Whitaker in third with Michael Schreier in fourth. Daniel Ackland in fifth. Brady McHugh, a new driver to our series, in sixth. My teammate Jonathan Hill in seventh. Bruce Keeley in 8th, and Gary Cousins in 9th, another one of my teammates, and Brendan Whitaker to round out the top 10 there. Some notables just outside the top 10, we've got Brock Payne in 11th, Kane Baxter-Smith in 12th, John McLaughlin in 13th. Lockie Gardner making his return this week in 14th. I think he's on screen there behind Kane Baxter-Smith. Scott Griffiths in 15th, Nicholas Windsor in 16th, Ben Collard 17th. Goran Berbic in 18th, Pete Matson in 19th, and Anthony Bismar? I don't know how you say it, in 20th. The Laves gents have still yet to qualify. Kester Ward still yet to throw a time down. Todd Park still yet to throw a lap down. But we're watching on screen, looks like Kane Baxter-Smith leading the way there. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, on our screens, we have the timing. So we've got the totem pole there on the left-hand side. Clears up a lot more of the screen. We can see our LJ Hooker Gaindar sponsoring there. The time to go, 32 seconds. Oh, sorry, it's less than that now, my apologies. And brought to you by the Gentlemen's Racing Club. Big thank you to Doadrift and my commentator here, Zach, as well.
And a big thanks, as always, our proverbials. After what it seemed like a very patchy performance on my behalf in the production car race a short time ago, but we're fast sorting out a few different issues we've got here in the studio, folks, and we should be right to bring you this stock car race in full once we get the sound back as well from Canadian
have the sound.
Motorsport Park.
The sound. I got the sound back fairly quick, so I apologise.
Oh, beautiful, mate.
As you can tell, we have made a lot of changes to the stream, as the boys were just saying. We've freed up a lot of space. A lot of the audio's been changed around to try and improve it for everyone. And unfortunately, no matter how much you test this stuff, when you need it to work is when it really tests you. So it's all up and running. If there is any problems, put it in the chat. Any volumes need to be adjusted, anything like that, just let me know and I'll get that sorted. Otherwise, I'll leave it to you guys because it looks like we're about to get ready.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you there, Rob. A big thank you to you and Doadrift for providing the fabulous pictures and overlays and all sorts of visuals and audios that you're providing us. This is Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It is 3.96 kilometres in length, and we've got 10 turns. You can see the top 10 there on our totem pole. Callum Watmore has taken the pole. It's got to be his first pole of the season, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think you're right.
Yeah, it's an interesting top 10. It's 1.3 seconds spread, but big thing about this track, and I tested it this afternoon, is front tyres. Because of the long corners, because of the braking and turning, you're going to wipe out those front tyres. So it might be prudent tonight that drivers may go to a 2-stop strategy. We'll see what happens. There will be a random safety car tonight, as always. There's a random safety car. There'll be no safety cars in the final 10 laps. And to keep guys in the running, they have 2 fast repairs. So if their car gets absolutely totaled, they can continue on.
Yes.
Under safety car conditions, they get a wave around. Very fast track, this one. As you can see, they did 1:19 around here. It's 35 laps the distance. And these guys have a fuel tank of, I believe, 36 litres.
3.95 kilometres, as you say. So for the NASCARs to be getting around here in, what is it, as you say, just under 1:20. that's going at a fair rate for a road course. There's no doubt about that. Looking forward to the race getting underway here for you very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Pictures coming in now from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. My in-house feed is now loading as well, which is a relief. We'll look forward to bringing you so much tonight on the back of some terrific racing, not just last week in the stock cars, but also this week in the production cars. From what was a very dusk centered Alton Park circuit. Great grid here. The stock car grids really, Nick, have been terrific right throughout the season.
Well, they've been great. I still get messages all the way up to Friday from the previous week of people trying to join, lockdown car numbers, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, on Friday, I'm running around like a headless chook, so it's a bit hard. Especially, it's a bit late on Friday as well for people to.
Yes.
So, just looking at some of the cars as we go through the field. Brady McHugh, I think it was. That's a nice. Oh, sorry, did I say that correct? Yeah, Brady McHugh in the looks like a 4X car. What a nice automobile. We'll get our seasoned regulars at the front, Callum Watmore, Glenn Postlethwaite, and Chris Whitaker. And I do believe that is going to be the top three when it comes to the end of the season. We'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, indeed.
It looks like they're going to get the green flag to get their warm-up lap as they go now. Nice long flowing track up and downhill. I guess I've only really ever done this in an open wheeler myself, so
Yep.
turn 1 is quite a fast corner. Turn 2 is a downhill and a sweeping left-hander, and if you happen to get that apex wrong, there is a grass runoff area but with a wall that's not too far away to meet you. So as they go through it now, and plenty of tyres there, so very rewarding corner if you get it correct.
Indeed.
And then a really hard brake zone up here into 3, and as you can see on the tarmac there's a lot of dark lines where you're going to have to follow. Keep it tight, and then you have your run down this sort of backhill S, which you've got to lift or just gently brush the brakes as you go under the bridge for the double right-handers. The first one's faster than the second one, which leads onto the back stretch, and that suckers people in to go faster than what they need, and they end up off the track leading on to possibly the longest, well, it is the longest stretch of the track, so it's something that you've got to look out for. And you can go off to the road on the right there and accidentally T-bone somebody who's actually made the corner, so that's something we've got to look out for as well. The back stretch, finally get these big cars to stretch out their legs.
Yep.
Run up to the nice fast sweeping right-hander, which tightens down to another left-hander.
Yep.
With an even tighter right-hander onto the front stretch. So that's an area of contention. I have seen NASCAR trucks get into a lot of contact through there, to the point where I believe it was Max Pappas lost the race on the final corner.
Yes.
So the slapping incident. So get set for a start.
We are getting set for a start indeed, ladies and gentlemen. As Nick said, 35 laps. So race distance of a little over 120 kilometres for this one tonight. The one thing that I have to dispute with it though, Nick, is you look at the track map here and it says 5A, 5B and 5C. Why not, in terms of the corners going onto the back straight there?
Americans.
So it's technically a 12-corner circuit. Bloody Americans. Ruining it for everyone. Now, let's get set for a start here, folks. Pace car into the lane, field under the main straight, green flag and racing. Off the line nicely. Postlethwaite there on the outside, Watmore on the inside as they head to turn 1. And Watmore's going to lead the field through. Big field tonight, of course. Field of 23. Kester Ward, the last of the starters down there in 23rd. And it's Watmore leading the way as they head through the back section of the circuit for the first time down to 5A.
Yeah, pretty clean start, all single file. No one's gone off and done anything silly at the moment. So, very good to report. Callum Watmore leading from Glenn Postlethwaite as they go under the bridge into the first of the 2 right-handers, a fast one that suckers you in, and then the slower one.
Postlethwaite, yes.
Sideways. He's gathered it up. Looking good. Into this first lap. everybody's still making it through. Looks like the Laz brothers decided not to qualify and started back along with Pistol Board, so all the skin control guys are back.
There have been a few people try that strategy, including your good self, throughout the races we've brought you on Doadrift this year, ladies and gentlemen. What more leads? Number 36 there, of course. Glenn Postlethwaite is second in the 95, and Chris Whitaker is third in the 35. Chris Whitaker's got a win so far. Glenn Postlethwaite's got a win thus far, but Callum Watmore does not. Can that trend, or will that change tonight for Callum Watmore? Well, we're only about 45 minutes off finding out. One in the books, 34 to go at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Oh, we got one off at turn 2. I can't see who it is. I'll try and get back to that.
79, Brendan Whitaker.
Oh, that's unlucky. And yes, the Whitakers now have another paint job on their cars.
Yes.
I'll have to zoom in to see what it is. So Brendan there is now nearly fallen to the very back there. Unfortunate.
Yep. So for those of you just joining us, this is the 7th round of the series. It's the record. We've had a few North American rounds, of course. We had Road Atlanta. We've had Daytona, the road course, which threw up quite the interesting curveball. And now we've got, of course, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We've had Montreal in Canada as well. So 4 of the last 5 weeks, we've found ourselves on a North American circuit. And 2 that aren't as familiar, namely the Daytona road course and the motorsport circuit that we're on tonight, with the top tier of stock cars. But thankfully we're running the Xfinity cars, which, as Nick alluded to in the opener, have run here before. Cal Watmore leads Glenn Postlethwaite, Chris Whitaker. Michael Schreier's up at a 4 spot. Brady McHugh, who was one of the standout performers in our GT race on Monday night, he's sitting 5th. Ford, hello to Seaton, Connor Young, all tuning in via our Facebook Live feed tonight. 37 of you tuning in via Facebook Live. Hello to those of you watching via Twitch as well. Like the Doadrift Facebook page. Subscribe to the Twitch Doadrift account to keep up to speed with when we go racing here. For the Gentlemen's Racing Club, Callum Watmore, is tonight the night for him. Got the lead over Glenn Postlethwaite. It was all about tyres and fuel. Expect those 2 factors to be prevalent again tonight here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 23 cars in this field here. And so far, they're all still running. They've avoided damage. Yes, Brendan Whitaker's had an off-track excursion, but everything is going A-OK for us after 2 laps here. 3 laps now. As Paul Nichols joins us in the chat room. It's been, from our standpoint, from what we've seen, Paul, it looks as though a fairly clean, even start.
Yeah, very clean. So far so good.
Don't speak too soon, though.
A little bit of damage to Brendan Whitaker's the back of his car, but that might have been before the run.
Yeah, we did see him on the grass. We saw him able to continue as well. So we didn't seem to think that there was too much to that, but I'm sure you guys will have a look at it after the fact.
Todd Parks off at turn 2. Turn 2's claiming their fair share of cars at the moment.
Yeah, and the good thing about this track too, Nick and Paul, a lot of runoff area.
Yeah, a bit of room, which is good, bit of grass, but when you get on that grass, it's certainly very hard to control your car out there.
Indeed it is. So, this is lap 4. Watmore, Postlethwaite, Whitaker, Schreier, McHugh, the top 5, Ackland sitting 6th, John O'Hill 7th, Kylie is 8th, Yadza is 9th, Brock Payne sitting there in 10th. Of course, we've already seen one youngster claim a win tonight in Xander Antonio. What can Brock Payne do? There's a little bit more interest in that at the moment, given what we've seen from Xander in the production car racing earlier this evening. If you're just joining us, fuel was the story of the day for Michael Hammond for the 2nd time in the production car series earlier this evening. What wretched luck. I'm sure they'll be considering the numbers a little bit differently next week. Mathematics will be on the lesson agenda for iRacing on a Friday night. So let's go on board here. We were on board there a moment ago. I'm just trying to pick up who we're on board with, actually. Have you got an idea on who that is, Nick?
It looks like it'll be
It's Todd
probably
Todd, is it?
Number 25.
one of the green cars towards the back.
Thanks, Rod. Thank you for that. So Todd Parks is there in number 25, position number 20 at the moment. And as you can see, bumper-to-bumper traffic essentially in front of him at the moment. Despite the fact that the field looks somewhat spread out, a reminder, this is a 3.9 kilometre course, so there isn't too much room for everyone to have their own piece of real estate. But it's not the shortest circuit we've visited for our Gentlemen's Racing Club experience. Of course, it is one of the shortest circuits for the NASCAR portion of the program, along with Road Atlanta. We've had some fairly long circuits in recent weeks as well, with the Daytona Road Course and also Spa in Belgium. And the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve Montreal thrown in for good measure as well. Back to the main straight again. What more possibly? Whittaker, Strayer and McHugh, the top 5 here. We're following the order down the back of the field. The 653 on the grass. Again out of turn 2. And that's been a big talking point thus far. The 653 is, of course, Bruce Kiley. I don't know about you, Nick, but I don't know about you boys, but I'm looking at 2 screens and my eyes are doing numbers on me at the moment.
Yeah, I'm looking at the timing screen and just seeing who's close to each other and just clicking on them and just seeing what's going on, because it looks like at the front, the top 4 have kind of stabilised and got their gaps to about a second each. And then you got, I believe, Brady McHugh just went wide at the run onto the back stretch there, and Daniel Ackland has slipped through, so he's going to have John O'Hill on him. So those 3 there, so 5th, 6th and 7th, all nice and tightly knit there. It's probably the closest fight, unless we're looking at Lachlan Gardner, John McLaughlin and Nicholas Windsor, so they're pretty tight as well. And just as I say that, Mr. John McLaughlin getting super duper sideways there, so
Indeed.
depends where the director will put us. I'll comment as we see, but yes, those are the 2 main fights I'm keeping an eye on. I'm also keeping an eye on those first 2, because I think it's going to be a head-to-head, tooth and nail battle at the front with those 2 guys there.
Indeed. Now, when you think of the rich history of this course, ladies and gentlemen, you might not know, for Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, just some of the great world motorsport events that have been held at this venue over the years. Would you believe it? It's hosted Formula One. It's hosted the World Sports Car Championship, the World Motorcycle Championship, albeit only once, the World Superbike Championship as well, and of course American Le Mans, the IMSA GT Series, and we've got trouble. We've got 2 cars that have found the wall. One in a little bit more worse wear than the other, but we've had 2 cars find trouble on the run down to turn 5A.
I believe that might be Brendan Whittaker.
And Whittaker's been in the wars again. Is that the case? If
Doc
that's the
Griffiths
case, I should say.
Was one of the cars. He's going again now.
But yeah, just while we talk about motorsport, and we'll find out more about what happened there in just a moment. When you look at motorsport, it has a rich history, despite the fact that it's now better known for the North American motorsports that visit the circuit to have hosted. MotoGP doesn't have a presence in Canada, hasn't since the single race at motorsport way back in the 60s. Formula One as well, of course, now we know that it calls the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve home. But this is where it really started for Canadian motorsport, this venue right here.
And a bloody fantastic circuit it is.
Yes, 100%.
The hills, you know you're driving somewhere. That's one thing I like about Spa, Monza, the old Hockenheim. You feel like you're going somewhere.
100%. Paul, what's the latest from you, mate? Obviously, you've got a crash to investigate there.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been thrown up in race control. No one's asked for it to be investigated yet, but we'll certainly look at it after the race. But I was just going to say, tyre deg around this track must be huge in these cars.
You'd think so. They're working very hard. And tyre deg was again a talking point last week, particularly for Glenn Postlethwaite. We were talking about that in the early stages, and yet he still come through and won the thing. It was quite incredible. So we hope you're enjoying our coverage wherever you're listening to us all around the country, wherever you're watching our coverage on Doadrift, via Twitch or Facebook. We'll be back with you, of course, on Monday night, the latest round of the GT series. Looking forward to that immensely. Summit Point will be the venue. And next Friday night, Brands Hatch is one circuit that we're visiting. And for the stock cars, is it Phillip Island or is that 1 week later? That's the Glen. Yeah, Watkins Glen. That'll be huge. And we're running the traditional stock car layout there, not the IndyCar boots. So that'll be a lot of fun for you next Friday night. So it's Brands Hatch. So again, it's an England-American double next Friday night. Brands Hatch and also this great Watkins Glen circuit in New York. So our focus is motorsport for the moment. And just running through the order, Cal Watmore's got a 1.7 second lead over Glenn Postlethwaite, Chris Whittaker, Michael Schreier, Daniel Ackland and Brady McHugh, the top 6 at the moment.
Just seeing in the Twitch comments down here, Paul from Option One Garage, hello. He just said he wants to watch Trent Lay's progress coming through the field, but also Cal has done a lot of laps around here. He loves the place. So Paul, I think he sponsored Callum at one stage back in the day. So Callum will lead in the race.
Yeah, I've actually just got John McLaughlin and Trent Laves on my screen here, Nick, actually, and Laves has just jumped up ahead of McLaughlin, and they've also got, I think that will be Kester Ward running there with them as well. And of course, let's not forget the skid control boys started at the back of the field.
Oh, some pitters, here we go.
So pit stops already, yeah, that. You're right, Paul, that is early. I thought that was a bit early, given that we've still got, 47 minutes left in the motor race, but in saying all of that, what have we got lap-wise? It's only lap 10 or 35. It's an early stop. So, again, it goes to your point, and you only made it about a minute and a half ago, tyre deg.
Yep. Exactly.
Running, running on, do you think it's a 2-stop, Nick, or a 1-stop?
Yeah, exactly. I said that towards the start of the race. They'll be thinking about doing 2 stops and doing 2 even stops. As someone who's out in the pit lane missed their actual pit box, that's unfortunate. Because of the long corners, the braking and the turning, these big heavy cars don't like it so much. So it's going to tear the tyres up. As we see Callum Watmore entering the pits now. So it looks like it's 2 stops all around, guys.
Yeah, they're kind of splitting the racing in 3s, aren't they?
Correct. Yeah, I did some testing earlier today to test it out, and it was like, I don't think a full long stint on the tyre will last. Fuel-wise, you'll last, but yes, I don't think that.
Yeah, I suppose it's going to benefit the drivers that are smooth on their tyres, and they could probably get away with a 1-stopper.
In saying that, though, it has been a hard slog thus far. Everyone's given a total commitment through here, and we're just looking at Glenn Postlethwaite at the moment. He's someone that last week we thought was going to have a problem with tyre deg, and then in the end come through and won quite comfortably. So
Is this coming upside Trent?
It's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. Is this a circuit where it's impossible to be nice to your tyres? It would appear as though that is the case in the early stages. Everyone just 110% commitment here early on as they head towards the max straight.
It looks like Callum Watmore's got a break on Glenn there, pitting a lap later. He actually has come out in front of the traffic that Glenn has to make his way through now. So I don't know if it was possibly a pit stop mistake or the fact that Callum had some time up his sleeve.
Well, this is true. Interesting to note too. I'm very interested to see when this safety car is going to be called, because as we know, there hasn't been a safety car called for a specific crash yet in the series. The safety car has been random draw. It's been competition caution style. So it'll be interesting to see when that comes out, because last week it changed the complete complexion of the race. We expect it to have a significant role again tonight, but whether it comes out midway through this stint or at a point where these guys can pit for a fresh set of tyres and get it home, that remains to be seen.
I think I'm looking forward to the Bathurst round, Nico. I think we'll probably have a real safety car at some point.
The track is blocked. The track is blocked. Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. 100% possibility for a safety car at Mount Panorama. I'm waiting for someone to either go rolling through the chase or just, as you guys say, blocking the circuit in 3 or 4 different parts.
Leaders in. Chris Whitaker has just taken a pit stop, and Daniel Ackland has now taken the.
And these things are hard to do a 3-point turn in, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Now, there's Carl Watmore just going by, chasing down Glenn Postlethwaite. So, Postlethwaite's got the advantage there over Cal at the
Oh,
moment.
my apology.
I think. I may be wrong in saying that, though.
On the leaderboard, if you look on the leaderboard there, here, Callum in 6th, Postlethwaite in 10.
Yeah, it's just been refreshed to 4th and 5th, so what more?
There you
So, yeah, who I was looking at was actually the 375. My apologies. That's Daniel Ackland, so there's your race leader at the moment. The livery, very similar to my naked eye, and they're not very good eyes, I must admit, between Postlethwaite and Ackland. So Ackland's got the job at the moment of holding off the chasing pack. McHugh, Whitaker, Watmore, Postlethwaite, Schreier, Gardner, Ward, Hill, and of course Gaz are their intense spot at the moment. And the good news, looks as though all 23 that started are still running. 3 a lap down though.
Yeah, what's that? Scott Griffiths, Bruce Keeley, and Anthony Vismar. They'll get their lap back as long as they stay in the race. Because there will be a safety car. We just don't know when.
That's right, 100%. But it won't be in the last 10 laps. That's the
right.
important
Yeah.
point.
Let it run out. Daniel Ackland's still got the lead here. He's just going through lap traffic here. Oh, turn 2. Let's have a look back further. Brady McHugh's in pursuit. And of the cars that have pitted, it looks like Callum Watmore is the first of those cars, and he's got 6 seconds over Glenn Postlethwaite behind him.
I must admit, it's awesome to be able to have a look at the leaderboard as it's unfolding here in front of me. It's not exactly live timing, it's only getting updated every lap, but it's certainly better than what I've had over the last few weeks. I've heard it about that. So a big thanks again to the Gentleman's Racing Club for setting me up with that. As we continue on here on a Friday night, good to have you covered in the second leg of the double header. We were a little bit rusty in the first leg, but we picked up our game quite substantially in the second leg. As we continue to watch the cars down the back straight here. Ackland, the race leader. When does he pit? That's the big question. That's the unknown at the moment. He is the leader. He is 4.4 clear of Brady McHugh. Got some lap traffic on his tail at the moment. Following him through. Another lap is in the books. Callum Watmore on our screen there as well. Be interesting to see if this is the night that Carl Watmore finally breaks through, because we know he loves NASCAR racing, but he's been upstaged so far this series by Postlethwaite, by Chris Whitaker and the like. So Watmore's in a very good position at the moment, but we're still a long way from home, and we hope you're enjoying our coverage. What's that lap counter say there, Nick? 15, is it? Or 13?
Yeah, lap 15 at the moment.
Lap 15 of 35.
Yeah,
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, correct.
I just couldn't quite read that because my lap board is actually a pixelated blur at the moment for some reason on the laptop here. Thankfully the PC's clear as day, but it just isn't giving me a lap counter. So it's a 35 lap race, a reminder of that. As you can see, it's about 5:20 in the afternoon at the motorsport circuit. They're the conditions we're racing to, at least, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's only about sunrise in that part of the world right now. We've got it set up so that we can race in the daylight, and just as well because the stock cars don't have headlights. So even though I must admit, as we see some more cars coming into the lane here, I must admit, sorry, what was that?
Daniel's just jumped in.
Daniel Ackland now, just in. Yep, thank you. I was going to say, one of the great aspects of the Alton Park race we just had a short while ago, obviously it was a little bit confusing with a few things going on here technically, but one of the great things was that twilight effect to it. Is that something you'd like to see for some of the other races we're going to have in the series, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I turned my graphics card up during the week and turned up all my graphics settings in the car, and the sun was setting, and it was quite amazing. It was like a sun glare as you're driving in certain corners. It was fantastic. I loved it.
I've just caught a shot here of the number 4 visiting the grass, and that was Anthony Visma. So Visma's had an off-track excursion, but again, like everyone else, has been able to resume the long areas of the big areas of grass and runoff area, serving him well on that occasion, as it has done so many others so far during this race.
Just a quick update, guys. Just watched Brady McHugh's pit stop, and it seems to be a recurring theme in tonight's race here at Motorsport Park is everybody's missing their pit boxes and having to back up in pit lanes. So they're losing valuable time doing that. So unfortunate for Brady McHugh, it was the last one I just caught. But hopefully didn't lose too much track position, and the safety car should bring them back together again.
I was going to say, not ideal irrespective of what time of the race it is, but you'd rather it happen before the safety car of redeeming yourself rather than having it happen after the safety car and then having to work extra hard to redeem yourself.
Exactly.
There's John McLaughlin. I was just having a look at the number 17 there, sitting down in position number 14 at the moment. You're looking at the number 95 of Glenn Postlethwaite coming through there. So Postlethwaite.
Just going to say Callum Watmore's got 7.3 seconds on him now.
Yeah, I was just looking for that exact information myself. Well done, you beat me to it. 22 minutes of racing gone. Callum Watmore in complete control. Glenn Postlethwaite, Michael Schreier, the top 3 at the moment. However, the safety car hasn't yet been called. However, there's also pit stops still to come in this race. So it's not over yet, but Callum Watmore's looking good.
Speaking of which...
Right, there we go, right on cue. Thank you very much. The commentator's curse strikes again. I was going to say, Callum Watmore's looking the goods. This could be finally the night where he's got the monkey off the back. And furthermore, it might be a fair reflection of the amount of time as McLaughlin visits the grass under the caution. It might be an indication of how much time he's actually been able to dedicate to motorsport this week. And that's something I look forward to chatting to him afterwards about, is how much time he's dedicated to motorsport, not just now, but how much experience he's got on the track before we went racing in the Gentlemen's Racing Club as well.
Just watching a lot of those guys into that back corner, that double right-hander leading onto the back straight. Callum Watmore, just before that safety car came out, got very sideways and lost a lot of time there, but he's recovered. As now we see the leader catch up to the Central Coast Subaru safety truck. I don't know if Subaru sell a truck anymore.
I was going to say, it's looking good too, the Subaru.
Maybe we could get the Brumby out there. Flat 18 or 35, and your leader is Callum Watmore.
Half race distance on that note, folks. Now, let's talk, because we were talking off air in the lead up. I was talking to a colleague who's also doing some sim commentary for events that feature with the Gentlemen's Racing Club, but through a different network. And I said, one of the great things about iRacing is chance feel that the guys get just by sitting in the cockpit at home. It's as real as it can possibly be without being at the racetrack, being able to smell the fuel, being able to smell the burning rubber. However, the one aspect that they haven't yet nailed is, and we haven't needed it, and thank God for that, is race suspensions, race stoppages. I haven't seen an iRace where a red flag's had to be called yet. Is that something that iRacing just hasn't implemented yet, or is that something they're working on? Do you know?
Well, you can ask Nico. We've been in a couple of races, especially around Mount Panorama, where the track is blocked.
Yep.
But you shouldn't have to do that. And worst case scenario, there's the escape button. Literally, you hold down escape and you're back to the pits. So it shouldn't block the track. As I've just jumped on board Callum Watmore here, and he's turning his car off. He's saving fuel right now.
Nice. Good call.
Postlethwaite's using very little revs as well, so I can actually hear Callum Watmore turn off his car. So he is doing no revs. He's fake to the pits, He's absolutely got no revs on just then. So he is saving fuel. He's going to try and push this one out and try and make his last stop as late as he can to have the freshest tyres and the least amount of fuel to do in those qualifying laps to finish the race.
Indeed. Pit lane's just got a little bit busier as well. Leon McNeil asking me if I'm driving the safety car. I might have iRacing, but I don't have the setup to be able to do that, mate, and I wouldn't trust me with the safety car, if I'm honest with you. But nice to have you on board for the broadcast yet again, mate. Good on you.
I'm just clicking on the pit lane. We got, I'm trying to identify who's in here. We got John McLaughlin.
The fact there's no L plate sitting in the safety car gives it away, Zach.
Well, that's exactly right. 100%. Well played. Just another point too. Shane Moulton saying the guys that went long before pitting here may have an advantage now.
Yes. Could play out that way, but I reckon everybody's going to do another stop. It looks like there's a couple of people making this another stop now. Pete Matson, Anthony Bisma. We just saw John McLaughlin was just leaving, so who knows? They might even get another lap, another pit stop in. We'll see how that all pans out.
We're being told one lap before the green flag will fly, so the field should bunch up this time around. Callum Watmore, we've got someone that's been led around. The number 511, I think it was, Burbank. He's been given the wave around, and he's ruined it because he's spun out and the safety car's passed him again.
Here he comes again. Here he comes again.
Flying down the outside like a lunatic. Yep. Have a look at that. Could you imagine if this was real world stuff?
Yeah, they wouldn't be going that fast past them, that's for sure.
No.
All right, we haven't got much. There's only a couple corners left. Quick recaps. Callum Watmore. I've got Brady McHugh on my timing screen here, then Clem Posithwaite.
Yes, so do I.
Brock Payne, Michael Schreier, Kane Baxter Smith, broke into 6th place there. Chris Whitaker, Daniel Ackland, John O'Hill, and Trent Lays round at the 10. Coming through the final 2 corners, the lights are out on the Subaru safety truck, Central Coast Subaru safety truck. We're about to go green.
I'll come back to the previous point we were touching on at the end of the broadcast, mate, so I won't forget that. No, that's okay. Time got the better of us there. Green flag and racing. And Callum Watmore, again, out to do what he was doing earlier in the race and clearing out.
Brock Payne getting sideways on power. That was some interesting stuff.
Indeed it was. And actually, let's mention Brock for a moment. He's sitting up there in position number 3 right now, so he's looking good, the youngster. We mentioned about Xander Antonov already winning the race tonight. Could Brock or Callum be about to keep the young theme going? We will wait and see. Brock I'd be especially impressed with if he could get up, but I think this is Callum's night just by looking how everything's played out thus far.
I did see in the background some green cars entering the pit, so I quickly had a look. And Trent Laves, just as it went green, has entered pit lane. He's just refueled and got going again. And Adam as well. Just see if Kester's at the back of the line. So Trent and Adam playing some strategy games here to see if they can get themselves to the end from this point on.
Yeah, that could be a big gamble too. Yeah, 15 laps A and B, the tyre rubber wear factor as well.
It'll be tough, but they should be able to make it. So now it's all about track position for them.
There was a car off on the outside. I'm just trying to pick up a corner number there. That was the 66. Visiting the grass. There have been a few of those incidents tonight.
John O'Hill, my teammate.
Yep. So there's the aerial view of Cal Watmore doing what he does best. He's already cleared out about 1.5 seconds over the rest of the competition. Brady McHugh, Brock Payne, Kane Baxter Smith, Glenn Postlethwaite, Lachlan Gardner, then Nicholas Windsor as well. Michael Schreier's dropped down to 8th spot, then Chris Whitaker and Daniel Ackland. Difficult night at the office for a couple of the regulars, but we know there's still pit stops to play out yet.
Some interesting. It's good to see some other names up in the top here. Brady McHugh, Brock Payne.
Agreed.
Kane Baxter Smith. Just as I say that, he's off the track.
Yes.
Lachlan Gardner making his return this week, and he's got, it looks like, Chris Whitaker up his tailpipes behind Kane Baxter Smith there. They just went out a shot. It's going to be an interesting night.
Indeed it is. so far from done here, folks. Hang with us because not only have we got this 15 laps to go, but we'll have our post-race show on the other side as well. We hope you're enjoying the presentation that's being presented to you by Doadrift tonight. An NBC IndyCar style influenced leaderboard down the left-hand side of your screen there.
How good does it look?
And it looks fantastic. Rob's done a very nice job there. And we're sure that you'll enjoy that for the rest of the series. But it gives you a whole leaderboard, the top 20 on your screen there at the moment. Then it flips over. So you'll see outside the top 20 every 15 seconds or so there. But 23 starters, 23 still running at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park tonight. It's great to have your company wherever you're listening and tuning in all around the country, all around the world, in fact. Over half an hour into this race, it's been good fun so far, and it's been all Callum Watmore from the start, and there's a car in the wall.
Just saw that.
Heading on towards the back straight there, Nick. The 185, Nicholas Windsor.
Nicholas Windsor. It was unfortunate there because I believe, I have to rewind it back here, I believe someone stuck it down the inside and along comes John O'Hill to finish off the job. It was all purely accidental, but there's nowhere to go.
It might make Windsor feel any better out the situation, I can tell you.
Yeah. Well, he's going again, which is not a bad thing, but it looks like race control are going to have their hands full with that one.
And now Daniel Ackland's in trouble. Daniel Ackland's in the grass. There he is on your screen there. Second last corner, turn 9. Daniel Ackland has bit the gravel trap at turn 9. He's resumed, but he's lost a lot of track time.
Yeah.
What a night this is turning out to be.
I think everybody's getting tired now. It's good.
I can relate to that. I'm going to look at the back of my eyelids not long after we get off air here, Nick. Paul Nichols, let's bring you back into the chat if we can, mate. So I know your microphone says mute at the moment, but if you can unmute it for us. Is there anything that we should be looking at in terms of racing incidents thus far? Because from what we've seen, it's just been a lot of drivers doing it on their own.
Well, there's been a few racing incidents. We're going to review it after the race. We do have a form on our Facebook page that the drivers can fill in, which is important, I think. Also, I just want to give a shout out to Gary Cousins, Gazza, one of Nico Pop's teammates. He's, as normal, driving a very clean race. He's only 11 seconds off the lead, so he's having a great race so far.
And just as you say that, we had a car in trouble pulling off to the side of the road and resetting to the pit lane.
Warren blew it up coming out of the turn coming onto the back stretch, so it looks like he's pushed the escape button, and I'll say he's going to use one of his fast repair. Unfortunate for him.
Yep, thanks to Paul for giving us that update. He's left our chat window for the moment. He'll come back post-race, of course. We'll announce our driver of the day and a few other things. We'll have a chat to a few of the drivers featuring prominently in the results at the moment, and maybe a couple that aren't featuring so prominently as well. Carl Watmore, Brady McHugh, Brock Payne, the top 3 here at the moment. A lot to be excited about in the closing 12 laps of this motor race. It's still anyone's guess who's going to win the thing, but you'd say Carl Watmore's in the box set. I don't want to put the mocker on it, because he's been close without success so far this year. But he has owned this circuit tonight. He's 3.6 seconds clear of Brady McHugh, Brock Payne in behind him, then Glenn Postlethwaite, Chris Whitaker. So the top 5 separated by 8.4 seconds. But around motorsport, the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park where we're racing tonight, Nick, 8 seconds is a lot of time.
It is a lot of time, and it's very hard to make back up, especially if there's no safety car or any form of help. I guess the only way you really make it up is faster pit stops, faster in and out laps. Just looking further afield, if Trent Lage is not stopping anymore, he is 36 seconds off the lead. So, Callum Watmore's dropping down the list, so he's making his final stop.
So Cal Watmore's in the lane.
36 seconds. We'll see where Callum pops out relative to Trent, and see if they're close to each other. As Callum's leaving pit lane now.
You couldn't think he'd be serious trying to run that long on that rubber.
Can be done, but
things can happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Trent's anywhere near him. I've got to find Trent. Nah, Trent's still a corner behind, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Indeed. So 35 minutes into the car race, Brady McHugh, Brock Payne, Cal Watmore. They're the top three at the moment.
Kane Baxter Smith off at turn 2 there.
Not ideal for Kane
aerial
Baxter
shot.
Smith. Geez, he's been in the wards the last few weeks, Kane Baxter Smith.
He hasn't had a good trot the last couple
No.
of weeks. He's been really good on fuel in the first 3 races, and then I don't know, people
Got
using
the
him for a
penalty in
putback.
Montreal.
Yeah. It's just been,
It certainly seems to take a lot of drivers out off camber downhill.
this place is tricky, especially the first sector. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 are all really tight, tricky corners.
Oh no, there was a big moment there going onto the main straight. Cal Watmore's been involved in a little bit of a moment with some backmark traffic there. I didn't quite pick up who the car was escaping to the outside near the tyre wall of that turn 10 section of the circuit. And that's not the first time tonight that Parks has been in trouble. But Watmore, I don't know what role he tried to have a look at, because they were very, very close. And I'd hate to think that Watmore was involved in any way, shape or form, and that might cost him a penalty. And I think Nico's going to have a look at that very shortly, so we'll wait for an update from Paul here. Watmore trying to feed its way through much traffic now.
He's lost 2 spots now, but across the line on the last lap, Brock Payne was in second. He just got jumped now by Chris Whitaker and Glenn Postlewaite as they come through the last turn, and Brocky is into the pit lane anyway.
Into the pit lane, yeah.
Unfortunately, a bit of net code, so a car in front of him just disappeared for a while. Carl couldn't see where it was, so net code issue.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Yeah, that's always a sad factor with this iRacing caper. And you've seen it already in our broadcast tonight too, folks. The margin for technical error, unfortunately. Oh, we've got a couple of cars visiting tyre walls.
That was McHugh in the leader.
That's Brady McHugh, yeah, the leader.
Brady McHugh.
Yeah, with his battle with Postlethwaite for first and second.
Well, would you believe that? Glenn Postlethwaite remains the leader of the car race, but not without some drama. So Brady McHugh's ended up in the wall. I can't believe that. Brady's had such a good run in the 16 tonight, and it's been brought undone not 10 laps from home.
Unlucky. It was the slightest of touches on a fast corner. Bugger all run off, and yeah, looks like he's trying to struggle to get the car back to the pit lane and try and make his final stop and get going from there, get the fast repair.
And I dare say there's going to be...
Yeah, post-race penalty for that. Just looking at it now on the replay.
I was going to say, Paul, you didn't have your work cut out for you in the first 25 laps. It looks like the last 10's going to keep you honest, though.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll rewatch it again. I'll watch the replay, but to me, straight up, it looks like unfortunately, a little bit of a touch, push him off track, lost position, so 15-second post-race penalty, I'd say.
Chris Whitaker only a 10th behind Glenn Postlethwaite now as they've completed 28. They're on their 28th lap.
What great racing it's been. I mean, the net code and the little issues we've had aside here, Nick, this has been another cracking stock car race. I can't wait to chat to some of the drivers post-race here to get their thoughts, because it's been hell for leather right from the word go.
I do not envy any of the race control guys or Paul here with the post-race penalties and looking at the lag, because I can see in the in-game chat someone's already said race control, have a look please. I've already muted the drivers because I know they'll be bluing. Last thing I want to hear. So yeah.
If we could trust them not to, let slip certain 4-letter words, we'd probably like to listen to what the drivers are saying right about now. But we can't do that. Well, that's exactly right. We call it the Gentlemen's Racing Club, but the gentleman actually stands for we're good at French. Glenn Potterwhite, Chris Whitaker, and John O'Hill are the top three at the moment, Nick.
Yeah, so if we turn our attention to the onboard there of Chris Whitaker, he is all over Glenn. And knowing Chris, he's actually liking this. He'll be loving this. Only 2/10 as they cross the line that time. So I don't know if Glenn's in tyre troubles or he's got a bit of sustained a bit of damage to his car from that little touch. But Chris Whitaker all over him like white on rice.
I'm looking at that onboard battle right now as Whitaker closes in as they head towards the back section of the circuit here. Turn 5, A, B, and C, and onto the back straight. Yeah, don't ask me about that, folks. That's just typical American garbage. Call it 5, 6, and 7 and be done with it.
Kester Ward
anyway,
up to 6th from 24th. Pretty good drive.
That's a great drive from Kester Ward. In fact, he might be in contention for the driver of the night so far.
Yeah, we keep an eye on that. That's really good.
And let's be honest, he's done that under the radar for the bulk of it. Because that's the first time we've really noticed Kester.
Just having a look here. He's only got 5 incidents to his name. Callum Watmore's still got 0. Chris Whitaker's got 1. Brock Payne's got 0. So still guys there with very little off tracks or contact. So, and Glenn Postlethwaite's got 1. It just happens to be that one that we saw on screen.
Yes. Yep.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, the one that actually mattered. So we're in the closing stages of our race here. Shane Knowlton. Race drivers sooking? Question mark. No. No, not at all, Shane. They're, as we say, they're gentlemen. They don't have any gripes with anyone at all. No, it's terrific racing and it's hard racing, and that's the great thing. That's what I appreciate so much now that I've been involved for the last 5 weeks with you guys. The fact that, yes, there's a gentleman factor to it, but yes, there's a serious element to this as well. Once they strap in, they mean business. And these motorsport competitive. In a totally different environment, we're off track, you don't have the smell of the fuel, you don't have the smell of the tyre rubber, and the atmosphere of a racetrack. You're doing it from the cockpit of the office or the lounge room or wherever you've got your sim set up. But just the competitive streak that all these drivers show and have throughout is to be appreciated, and that's what makes the spectacle what it is.
Yeah, absolutely, Zach. I think, we're all competitive, but we also, this club particularly is all about being fair. We all know there's going to be incidents that happen. If you can address it on track, fantastic. It's a really good environment. That's what we want to kind of promote.
Indeed. Michael Schreier sitting there in 4th at the moment. The number 30, doing a nice job. Holding the, he's actually got 2.7 seconds over the next placed car, the 58 of Gaza. John O'Hill is 4 seconds up the road, so Schreier's pretty much on his own at the moment. Only half a second separating Postlethwaite and Whitaker. Where is our lead battle? That is something that we need to keep an eye on right here, right now. Half a second separating the leaders. They're on the back straight, if our director can find them. Half a second separating the leaders. There they are now in this car race. Postlethwaite and Whitaker. Whitaker again running a nice livery. He's got too much time on his hands to have 7 different liveries in as many weeks as they come through turn 9. And again, nicely presented tonight. Onto the main straight. 4 laps to go this time by the line. So 31 in the book, 4 to go. We're inside the, we're going to beat this on time, certainly, because it's a 1 hour time window for this race. So we're going to be well and truly covered on the time certain factor, which is great, because what's the point of setting a lap distance and then cutting it because of the clock? Especially in iRacing. Is Whitaker closing up on Postlethwaite? Has he got enough time? Has he got enough fuel? Has he got enough grip on board to upset the man that's been so dominant throughout the course of this championship, Glenn Postlethwaite? How good is it to hear the sound of stock cars roaring around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, ladies and gentlemen? We hope you're enjoying the ambience that has been fed through to you via the vision and the work, the direction, and the production of Doadrift. Of course, remember to like the Doadrift Facebook page, subscribe to the Doadrift Twitch feed as well. Come back and join us on Monday night when we go GT3 racing from Summit Point. Next Friday night, the production car, stock car doubleheader is back again from 6:45 with coverage from Brands Hatch and also Watkins Glen, two classic iconic circuits that have both hosted Formula One Grand Prix in the past, coming your way next Friday night. Nick, what are your observations at this point in time?
It looks like Chris and Glenn have settled into a bit of a rhythm here. Jono's not that far behind. And every time I look back, Callum Watmore's made up another position, but he's got 15 seconds to make up. I don't think it's going to happen. So,
yep. Trent Laidman's got his way into 10th spot, just behind Brock Payne and Kester Ward. We're looking further down the order now. I'm just having a look at Brendan Whitaker's a lap down. Scott Griffiths is Verbeek, Vesna, Vesma, I should say, Parks, Kelly. They're all a few laps down. So it was going well there for the first half of the race, and then there's just been a few incidents that have resulted in drivers losing too much track time for the sake of it.
I also think the different strategies playing out because it was
True.
It was two stoppers, but when did you do those stops? I have to go back, have a look at Glenn's laps here, but where are we? Glenn did his, unless that was a safety car, around the 18, 19.
He's going to have a chance here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Very close, isn't he? Only 0.4 or less than that now.
4.3 of a second separating first and second in this car race, ladies and gentlemen. It might be the virtual world, but by gee, a win's a win for Chris Whitaker. He lapped it up a couple of weeks ago when he got the job done. He would love to repeat that success here tonight. He's only got 2 laps to go. This is going to go right down to the wire. A circuit that some of these drivers aren't all that familiar with. This commentator's not all that familiar with, but it's a circuit that's delivered some cracking racing tonight. As they head through turns 5A, 5B, and now Chris is in the gravel. Would you believe that? John O'Hill goes through to take second. I can't believe Chris Whitaker's run out of luck there in the last couple of laps. He will miss out on second and even the win now, and it will elevate John O'Hill to second, and Glenn Pottsville will be on track for his 4th win in 5 weeks.
Actually, Zach, it looks like it looks like Jono must be down a lap because it's. No, I think you're right. Sorry, my mistake. I forget how the updates when it goes over.
Hey, that's my teammate,
right.
man.
And there goes Chris Whitaker into the pits.
Yep, there you go.
1 lap from home. Oh, what wretched luck for Chris Whitaker. Glenn Pottsville, however, folks, is on his run home. The last lap here. It's been a great gallant effort from Callum Watmore, but again, he's going to come up short. He's sitting there in 6th at the moment. That'll be 5th now that he's got by Chris Whitaker, who's in the lane. He was the leader for so long there in the opening half of the motor race. That's gonna really bite Callum Watmore hard, this result tonight. But Glenn Pottsville, again, just a class above right here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park tonight. We are on the last lap. The checkered flag will be out this time by. Is there any stopping this man in the championship fight now, Nick?
I don't think so. I mean, the results are going to be, even if Glenn doesn't get a win, obviously he'll get one tonight, but if he doesn't get a win, he's still in the top 5. So to really get someone like Chris Whitaker in front of him, he's going to have to get a really bad result, which I don't think will happen.
And now Glenn knows that he's got this one. He's having some fun with it. Rid of this sideways through turn 9, through turn 10. 4 wins in 5 weeks for Glenn Pottsville. It doesn't get better than that at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He gets the job done in North America for the 2nd week in a row. What a performance. John O'Hill will come home 2nd. He'll be delighted with that.
Great for Jono.
And Michael Strayer will come home 3rd, I do believe. Fantastic racing. Gazza in for fourth. Cal Watmore.
Gary Cousins
It's
as
a
well.
it's a very different looking top 5 tonight, boys.
I got 2 teammates in the top 5. I'm happy.
However, in saying that, I say it's a very different looking top 5, but the really what I should say is a very different looking second to fifth, because first it's about the same.
Well, it's
Oh,
a
incredible racing.
regular name at the top, but once again we got some people in there. You know, unfortunate for Chris Whitaker having to do that final stop, splash and dash. Unfortunate for Callum Watmore, just strategy not working out right. But then on the flip side, John O'Hill, Gazza, Michael Schreier, Daniel Ackland, and Kester Ward all getting the jump. Brock Payne there even making some good ground. Trent making from 22nd to 10th. So there's a lot of good drives all the way through the field.
Yeah, so I just heard Chris in the comms chat for the race room, and Chris is saying, yeah, I had like 100 mil left when he had to pit, so just miscalculated.
And to be fair, that's not the first time tonight we've been talking about fuel, because that was a prevalent factor in a production car race. That was what decided it for Zender Antone if he got home on fuel because of the miscalculations for Hammond and Co. there.
Yeah, I actually said that to them when they came out. I had a couple of drivers jumping in the pits and going, you guys got enough fuel? And they've gone, yeah. It's like, I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I don't think you do. No. And it turned out to be that way. Extraordinary. A very different looking top 5 to what we'd normally expect. First and fifth, we've been regulars in the top 5 this year, but for Schreier, for Hill, for Gazza, that's a great result for those guys. We look forward to having a chat to a few of the drivers in the chat room here for you very shortly. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the race here on Doadrift. We'll bring you plenty of post-race discussion, and there's a few questions that I want to throw at the boys after all of this as well. But in summary, Paul, I know you're still with me. Yes, you've got a bit to look at, but for the most part, I mean, for 95 of the 100% there, that was a clean race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from what I saw, there was a few racing incidents, a couple of netcode issues that we'll look at again. But overall, I think it's very clean. This is a tough track. I mean, as we talked about earlier, tyre deg, such a powerful car. And this is obviously this car's not designed for these type of road courses. So I think everyone did really well.
Just while we wait for the drivers to come in and join us in the chat room, mate, I know Nick's going to bring those boys in for us very shortly. We were talking about the red flags and the safety cars and all that sort of stuff, and how we don't have red flags in iRacing. From adding to the reality concept of the platform, is that something you'd like to see going forward? Because obviously, yes, having those automatic resets is one thing, but then having the real factor of the nuisance of a red flag restart is quite another.
Yeah, look, I mean, I haven't thought about that, but particularly for endurance events, it might be something that we need to look at.
Yeah.
I think iRacing have obviously had a huge influx of people recently with what's going on with COVID-19, and people have been restricted from where they can go. So, look, I think, they're probably hamstrung as well. They obviously can't have their whole workforce working at the moment. So I think there's lots of suggestions from a lot of the Australian community about what we can do to improve the service and new tracks. So I think there's certainly going to be some great improvements over time with iRacing.
Indeed. We'll come back to you very shortly, Nico. Thank you very much for that. Brady McHugh, we've got to start with you as far as our post-race show is concerned and the driver chat here. We'll get to Colin Postlethwaite and Chris Whitaker and a few others in a moment. But Brady McHugh, such a stunning performance on Monday night. You're on track for a good result here, and then it come unstuck. Walk us through what happened, please, mate.
Yeah, hey, mate. It was fun. These cars are crazy, but I was trying a bit of a different strategy. I was trying to save fuel and try and make it to the end.
Yep.
So I was obviously not as quick as Glenn, and I was basically just going to try and hold him up for as long as I could and try and hold on to the end of the race. I was lifting and coasting everywhere and trying to save fuel.
Yep.
And I was looking good to sort of just get there, I think. From my perspective, I think it's just a bit of a punt, to be fair.
Yep. Are you talking about the incident or the strategy?
The incident, mate. Yeah,
Bit of a
I mean,
punt.
he was definitely quicker than me. Like, but you know, I'm entitled to race there, and for first especially.
Yep.
And he said in chat he didn't know where I was going, but I didn't move erratically or anything. I was just sort of on my line. But
Okay.
I think race control is going to have a look at it. So yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what Paul's said to us. Is he's got a few incidents to go back and have a look at post race, so that'll be one of them, mate. Apart from that, great car, great circuit, great drive from you. Obviously, not the result you would have been chasing, but you must have been happy with how quickly you took to the car and the circuit, given that you relatively new to this caper.
yeah. What a combo! I mean, motorsport has a heap of undulation and long corners that definitely don't suit this this type of car. But on old tyres, wow! I mean, it was just so gentle on the throttle, trying to be so smooth. But awesome combo. I really, really enjoyed it. I'll definitely be back next week for this again, I think.
Indeed, it'll be great to have you back, mate. Of course, Watkins Glen, the venue next Friday night. And of course, just a quick comment, you must be looking forward to Summit Point Monday night for the GT3s. Have you put any work into that yet?
I haven't, mate. No. I'll probably just rock up Sunday night and have a crack.
I love it. Mate, look forward to having you again, having your company again on Monday night. Stay there. We might come back to you if time permits. Let's go to John McLaughlin. Maybe not the result you were looking for, JM, 12th in all of that, but in the greater scheme of things, let's ask you about the race and get your perspective on it from the cockpit of the 17. What did the last 35 laps entail for you?
It's pretty miserable, to be honest. I didn't feel at home at this track, like compared to last week, where I felt really nice at that track and was on pace. I just couldn't get there this week. I don't know why. I just failed to get anywhere near those top guys in terms of outright pace. So I was kind of just playing around. I managed to get through on one stop to try and throw a little bit of a curveball with the strategy, but I ran out probably 3 corners to go and coasted across the line.
Yep. I was going to say, sorry, Nick, you go.
I was just going to say, brilliant. I love it when people buck the trend and try a different strategy, but unlucky to run out across the line. I know that feeling 2 nights in a row.
Well, that's exactly right from earlier in the week. My goodness, John, when we look at the track, you're saying you took to last week's venue, which was across the Daytona Road Course, a bit better than you took to this one. What were the challenges for motorsport for you?
I don't know, to be honest. Like, I watched a few of the other guys' laps and tried to kind of emulate what those guys were doing, but I just couldn't get the thing to turn. I felt like I was battling understeer all the time compared to the guys I was chasing or watching their laps. So I don't know what I was doing wrong. I tried heaps of stuff. I only started practicing yesterday. I did a fair few laps yesterday and a fair few this afternoon before the race, but yeah, just couldn't. It didn't click. Last week I kind of had a moment where it clicked, and I picked up a bunch of time. But this time I just struggled all night, basically.
Yeah, obviously car and track combos are always a challenging thing to master. But what did you make of the circuit? Not worry about the result, not worry about the car. What did you make of the circuit?
It's difficult. It's a weird one with the different undulations and stuff, and particularly into some of the corners. Like, you've got big bumps and things that unsettle the car. So it's very bumpy track, and with all the undulations, it makes it hard to pick your braking markers and your turn-in spots and all that sort of stuff. And there seems to be a lack of brake markers and whatnot around the circuit too, which makes it even more difficult to get consistent laps and kind of try and push that boundary a little bit. It was just difficult for me.
We can. Lachlan Gardner, I believe, is in the chat room as well, and he finished just ahead of you, mate, in position number 11. Lockie, if we can get you to unmute your microphone there and tell us exactly how the night fared for you.
It was an interesting one. I just finished like 20 minutes before the race started. I just finished the JR Erebus Sim Cup. They're doing a competition there. So
Junior Cup. Yep.
And yeah,
how'd you go there?
I actually wasn't only downloaded the track at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So didn't have much practice. So as soon as I went into qualifying, that was basically my practice and learning the track. So I was happy that I was, just under that 2-second mark to the leaders, but there's still a lot of time to be found. I'm still new to it.
Quickly talk to us. How'd you go on the eSport Cup for the Erebus?
There's some very, very quick guys in there. So yeah, I think I may have made it into the top 40. I think there was about 70 entrants in the time trial event. So I'll find out tonight, and then we'll see how we go tomorrow in the 2 races with the 2 different cars. So
right there, we'll keep us posted on in your progress there, and we'll follow that with interest. I'm just loading the screen that Nick sent through to me, but I've already got some of that information on my screen here. So thank you anyway for the duplicate, Nick. Of course, just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Postlethwaite, another win, just extraordinary stuff. John O'Hill, Michael Schreier, and of course, 4th spot went to Gary. 5th spot to Carl Watmore, 6th Daniel Ackland, 7th Kester Ward, 8th Brock Payne, 9th Trent Laves, Kane Baxter Smith in 10th. We still haven't got Glenn Postlethwaite in the chat room. We've got a few others we've got to track down as well. So come and have a chat to us, boys. We look forward to talking very shortly. We'll bring in our race winner in a moment. Let me go to Kester Ward firstly. I'm sort of working my way up through the finishing order here. Lockie, stay with me. I'll come back to you as soon as I can. I think he just left the chat room. He saw his charts and bolted. Good boy. They always do that. Kester Ward, good to have you back in the chat room, mate. You moved your way nicely through from the rear of the field to finish 7th, just ahead of Brock Payne. Strategy played a big role in that result, mate. You must be happy.
Yeah, certainly. It's interesting driving these things around here. I used to do the trucks around Motorsport a bit, and that's I like. Really patient, and Trent and myself both made the executive decision to start down the back and try and avoid people and each other, because lately we've had a tendency to get into each other, which we still did in the early stages of the race there. But yeah, that's what happens, I guess.
Yeah, team order's not exactly going to plan there, mate. What'd you make of the track?
I think it's a brilliant track. It's interesting. You can make up time in different spots, and it really rewards those that can look after their tyres or drive on the used tyres, which is probably one of my strengths, I guess, from all the skid control stuff of sliding around on skid pans and everything. I'm quite comfortable with a car that moves under me. So, when these get out of shape, I've probably got a bit more hope of catching it than some of the other guys that run at the same pace as me, whereas quick guys are all over it, but I just try to be consistent and then get up there.
Yeah, sorry, mate. We lost you there for about 3 seconds, and I went to ask you another question. I thought you'd hung up on me, but no. Watkins Glen coming up next week. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Watkins is another track that I love, and again, I think it's something that rewards people that can be patient with the car. And I'll probably have to get some tips off Cal, like I usually do, on how to drive these things a bit quicker.
Yeah, actually, it's a little bit disappointing. I was hoping Cal would be in the chat window to have a chat with him tonight, but he'd be disappointed with 5th after leading for the opening half of the race and then only coming home in 5th. Because we saw a few guys gamble on one less pit stop from a tyre wear standpoint, from a fuel standpoint. It was an interesting strategy game, this one tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly. That's I took the opportunity to duck in there under the safety car just to top it up, and thought I'm comfortable running it on the tyres till the end. And yeah, it was a bit sketchy near the end there. So
yeah,
but all fun and games.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected in the result. The guys that have gambled, have been rewarded. So well done to you in the top 10 there as well. We'll come back to you if we get a chance, Kester. Stand by, mate. Trent Laves, I'll bring you into the conversation right now. 9th spot, mate. Not the greatest night at the office for you, but it's still a good haul of points going forward.
Yeah, mate. Like Kester was saying earlier, we made the exact decision to start off the back and try and stay out of strife. Lo and behold, second lap in, we're into each other's doors. But all fun and games, and I actually buggered up the strategy. I made the right call. I think we're talking during the race with Kester, and he had the opportunity to dive into the pits early, and I had to jump in the pits as it went green. I lost a lot of time there. So he hop, skipped and jumped me, the bugger. I'll have to run him down next week and pit him next time.
Indeed, and of course, Watkins Glen is the next stop. The decision to start from the back of the grid, given that it was such a short lap around here in terms of time, is that a decision that you guys might look back on and think maybe we should have just qualified and gone for it?
Though, to be honest, I actually had zero confidence coming into this race. Like I was speaking about on Monday night with you, I was aiming to do a little bit less practice than normal and just give it a crack and have a swing at it. And I literally did 5 laps of this track on Tuesday night until the practice this afternoon. So I kind of ran the gauntlet a bit, and I wasn't very comfortable starting up the front and getting in people's bloody ways. I think a couple of times there I dropped the wheel over the back there and got in people's way. Sorry, Kane, if you're listening. I think I got in your way once there. But I managed to get comfortable towards the end there and punch out some consistent laps and make use of the strategy, which seemed to work out all right.
We've got first and second in the chat room at long last. We've had lots of weights in the house as well. I'll come back to you soon, Trent. Thank you for the comments so far.
Actually, just
Glenn,
before you go, sorry, quickly,
yeah,
Trent, we had a question in the chat, which was from Sandy Laves, who asked, when you're in the chat at the end of the race, we need to ask how to pronounce your last name.
I think I gave Nick the lowdown of how to pronounce it during.
I probably still mucked it.
What'd you say? How'd you say it? Sorry, say it. Oh, it's Lavis. Lavis. Yeah. Not Laves or Laves, it's Laves. Or Lavis, sorry.
I was going to say, you said it wrong and wrong.
Yeah, because I've been listening to you clowns saying my name all the time.
well, that's exactly right, 100%. And it's funny though, because for those sorts of things, I look back to the Encyclopedia of Queensland Motorsport, because Jonesy taught me everything I know about Queensland Motorsport. So I blame him for the fact that I didn't pronounce your name correctly, and I'm sticking to it. Hey, but in saying all of that though, it's funny how that happens, because when you look at someone like Matthew Hark, for instance, he'll refer to himself as Matthew Hawk, but then he'll be okay with Matthew Hark as an alternative pronunciation because both work. So things as Alan Jones would say. No, I won't. Some of those things, as Alan Jones, the great Formula One world champion, once said, depends upon which school you went to. Let's move to Glenn Postlethwaite before I get into any trouble whatsoever. Glenn, mate, congratulations. That's 4 wins in 5 weeks. You're the master of this series at the moment, the man to catch with 3 weeks to go. You must be wrapped with how tonight played out, because it looked as though Cal had you measured there for 2/3 of it.
Yeah, pretty happy with that one. First of all, I just want to say sorry to Brady. I had a bit of contact with him, unfortunately, ended his race, so I feel bad for that one.
Yeah, Brady, what might come of a stewards hearing post race. Are you worried about any implications with regards to championship points or the race result itself?
I hope not, but anytime we make contact with the car, it's always frowned upon. So it's just one of those things. I sort of caught up behind him, and I just went to go down the inside of that corner. I had a decent run, and he just sort of didn't go where I thought he was going to, and I'd already committed, so couldn't really back out by that point. So
yeah, I was going to say it does make it hard. We've got Jono Hill standing by. I'll bring him in a moment, but it does make it hard, doesn't it, Glenn? When you look at a track like this, overtake the corners where, from what I could see, there were a couple of different racing lines at play. It's not easy. It's not always easy to predict where the driver ahead of you or around you is going to turn and at what point.
Yeah, that's right. It's all part of it, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Now, just quickly answer this one for me. Apart from that incident, the race from your standpoint, obviously the right result for you in the end. You brought it home in one piece. You brought it home in position number 1. But races and how easily you've managed them, how much of a challenge was this one?
Yeah, I was about the same as Lobesy. I did about 5 laps practice at the start of the week, and then just haven't had time to get on. So I jumped in practice, and I was pretty frustrated. I couldn't get the pace out of it. And then qualifying, I finally started to figure it out, and I had one lap I was onto it and come around the last corner and just understeered wide and just lost like 3/10. So yeah, that was frustrating, but it was still nice and close at least for us.
Hey,
And then
Posy,
yeah,
I've got a bit of.
yeah, all right.
Sorry, mate, I interrupt you there. I've got a bit of an idea, a bit of a theory. Maybe we do 10 laps next week practice and see if it gets any better and find the sweet spot.
Yeah, I might go 11, 12 just to jump you there.
Actually, how familiar are you two with Watkins Glen in these cars? Just before I go to Jono.
Me?
Yeah, and Trent as well.
I've never driven any of these cars anywhere.
So you're doing really well. You're the master blaster of just pot luck. You hop in and you click straight away.
The only time I've driven these is I used to get this one out in the old NASCAR Ute and do some drifting. They're the best cars to drift on, all right.
As you proved on the last couple of corners of that race there as well. Lavesy, what about you? How much experience have you got with Watkins Glen?
Be away from the mic.
Yeah, Trent's obviously. He's been waiting very patiently.
Sorry,
there.
mate, I pressed the wrong button. That'll be caused. Can't even know my own steering wheel.
Your idea.
Cal's the man. I think this. At Watkins Glen, he's going to be very hard to beat around there. He's done how much laps in these things?
Yeah, how much experience have you got with the Glen though, mate?
Maybe a couple dozen laps chasing Cal around there and getting the shits because he's 2 seconds faster than me and packing.
So basically, 2 teaspoons of bugger all. I find that astonishing that Glenn's done very little on it. All going out and killing it's quite an interesting statistic to make note of going forward in all of this. Jono, mate, thank you for waiting so patiently for us in the top 5 tonight. We know Glenn Postlethwaite, we know Callum Watmore, but Gazza, Michael Schreier and yourself in the top 5 for the first time. You're the standout in second there. A superb drive and strategy worked right into your favour there, right to the very end, mate. You've got to be stoked with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I felt like I've had the pace, or reasonable pace for the rounds I've managed to make it to so far, but the strategy is always. And tonight it was it was all about getting the strategy nailed, hit the stops, and it seemed to play out. I wasn't expecting to be second, only 2 seconds behind Glenn. That was a big surprise. So something really went right. I clicked with this track and enjoyed the combo. So it was good fun.
Click with the track selection. Were you struggling for tyre grip in the latter stages there?
Not really. In testing, I was only finding tyre issues after about 12 laps into a stint, and I don't think we did a stint that long tonight. So with the yellow in there, so no, tyres were fine for me. I feel quite natural in this car, especially at Mosport. I think I work well with the track. Some guys, saying struggling with getting the car turned and stopped. I was finding that at Montreal, but not so much here.
And we heard how much work Trent and also Glenn put into. I hazard a guess that you might have been just a little bit more prepared for tonight than these two.
Yeah, only a little bit. I actually moved house this week and got all my stuff set up during the week, and I probably got about 2 or 3 hours in, as it went through, because I wanted to have a good showing tonight. Just moved or not, just wanted to put one together. And
I was going to say, at least someone's being productive in isolation. You've been able to move house. I'm surprised you're even allowed to do that, given all the restrictions that are in place.
not experience I want to have again, that's for sure.
100%. I don't think it's an experience any of us want to have. However, the good thing that's come out of all of this has been iRacing on a Friday night with the Gentlemen's Racing Club. Let's throw it around the room for a moment. Restrictions ease a little bit this weekend. Are we still hell for week, or are we going to go out and enjoy a meal in a cafe or a pub with our friends? What's going to happen? Let's start with you, Brady McHugh. What's your plan as these restrictions slowly start to ease, and how's it going to impact your sim racing preparation?
Afternoon beers at the pub, and then try and turn the computer on and see how we go.
I like how he said afternoon beers at the pub and then turn it on. Don't drink and drive unless it's in a simulator. Brilliant philosophy.
I've worked it out. It's about you lose about a tenth of beer.
Tenth of beer.
You gain a tenth for the first 2, and then you start losing it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, there's a sweet spot there, man. Just got to find it.
We don't promote drinking and driving, by the way.
No, not at all. We don't condone it. Again, gentlemen's racing club. A gentlemen's racing club that excels in French, and that's probably why Chris Whitaker hasn't joined us in the chat room so far tonight. What are your plans for the next 7 days? John there jumped out. He has cut out. Okay. John McLaughlin, are you with us?
Yep.
Oh, I've got you now. Beautiful. I lost you there for a moment, mate. Sorry about that. Hey, what are your plans for the next 7 days in preparation for Watkins Glen? And obviously with the restrictions being eased, what's the go?
Well, I've just been doing some laps now.
Good
Thought
boy.
I'd jump in early and start getting my head around this track. I don't want to be down the back again. So did a few laps today now, and hopefully I'll get a bit more in during the week this time and be a bit further up.
Is it fair to say that you're probably more familiar with Watkins Glen as irrespective of whether it's iRacing or just as a spectator of the sport?
I haven't really watched a lot of NASCAR, so no. But I have done some laps at Watkins Glen in some other cars, so I do know the track a bit better. So that'll help. And then the last couple of tracks, obviously Phillip Island and Bathurst, I've driven at one in real life, so
Yes.
I'll know.
Looking forward to the last 2 weeks to have the Australian tracks feature prominently there. John O'Hill, let's go to you. What are your plans for the next 7 days? Obviously, isolation restrictions getting eased, but iRacing's world for the next 4 to 6 weeks at least.
Yeah, coming home strong in this series is a pretty high priority for me at the
Good
moment.
boy.
I'm settled in a new place, and 3 fantastic tracks coming up. So I'll be practicing.
Kester, a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about encouraging everyone to tune in to watch you get your backside handed to you. In fact, tonight you actually handed a few other people a lesson. What are your plans for the next 7 days to try and bring it home strong?
I plan for the next 7 days. I think on the weekend might take the bike out for a ride, and then I might try and spend some time with young Goran that jumped on tonight. I told him he was doing well if he didn't spin the car at all through the race, and he managed to spin under the safety car. I just found out. So
yes.
And he blew it up.
There's always one.
Yep, that's so I'll spend some time with him. But yeah, apart from that, I try not to do too much practice actually, because between running this, the GT3, and then the MX5, it sort of gets confusing because I don't want to drive the GT3 and then jump in these things, and they don't have nearly the grip or the quartering prowess as the GT3s. So I sort of just jump in that night and have a crack.
Actually, you've just fed me my next question without even trying. And I love it when I don't have to think. It's even better. But how difficult is it? Because we talk about the and it's as close to the real thing as you're going to get in simulator sense anywhere in the world. How difficult is it to, obviously we know the challenges in the real world of going from car to car, but is it just as challenging in the simulator?
I think it is. I'm pretty lucky with my line of work with Sea Control. I've had the real life experience of jumping in between different cars, so I've learnt the ability to go out, do an 80% lap, and work from there. So it's difficult, but it's not very difficult. Like, it's doable. You just got to remember what you're in and take steps to get up to the top again.
We just got word from our good mate Glenn Postlethwaite that he's had to head off, so we look forward to carry over champion to round number 8. Lachlan Gardner, what about you, mate? Obviously, you must be hanging out for the real thing to come back, but the sim racing's been a good substitute for the meanwhile.
Yes, it definitely has. It's keeping me on the edge of my seat, but obviously it's not quite like the real thing. But hopefully that goes back soon with these restrictions lifting. And I say to mum and dad nearly every day, "Come on, when's racing coming back?"
Mate, I'm hearing you. I've got a few comments that I could throw about that, but none of them are safe for broadcast. Just going back to you though, obviously we see in the Tundra when we're sort of, does that make a transition into a stock car easier or harder for you when you come and race in the sim world?
Yeah, so the first round of this series, I only got iRacing like 2 or 3 days before. So
Yep.
I was learning iRacing on top of learning these very difficult cars. The cornering and braking was very similar to my car, but the oversteer and then that little bit of understeer was a big change. So it has taken me a couple of weeks to get from that 20th up to closer, trying to get into the top 10 now. So I'll just keep chipping away every now and then and see how we go.
And Trent, I don't think 7 days. What's the plan?
Sorry, mate, you were cutting out on me there.
Oh, I apologise. Is that better?
Yeah, what were you saying? Sorry, I missed your question.
Oh dear, oh dear. The microphone's behaved itself all night. I haven't changed any settings here, and it starts playing up. Mate, what are the plans?
It's probably my end, mate.
What are the plans for the next 7 days, mate? As we prepare for obviously restrictions being eased, and then of course going into the final 3 weeks of the Gentlemen's Racing Club stock car series.
Probably have a pretty relaxing weekend. I want to actually try and get my Sylvia back on the road. It's been up on stands for the last couple of months, and been tweaking the suspension in it, getting ready for racing. So I have plenty of time to do that. And I just let it sit. So I might either do that or go for a motorbike ride or something like that for a bit of fun.
For sure. Look, sorry, mate. So Lockie Gardner's jumped out of the chat room as well. Brock Payne's actually apparently watching our Facebook live feed. He should be in the chat room because he was in the top 10 tonight. But anyway, continue on, mate.
Yeah, Brocky drove really well. He actually popped out of the pits just in front of me at the end there. And he just pulled away from him like, yeah, you can have a champ. He had me covered by a long shot at stint at the end there. But yeah, through the week, just looking forward to the GT race on Monday. I think we're at Daytona, from memory.
Summit Point this week and then Daytona.
Summit Point.
Yeah, Summit Point.
That's a cracking little track. That'd be a lot of fun, those things. Apparently, I'm leading the championship, so I need to pull my socks up a little bit, I think, and have a bit of a crack at that. I have not practiced for that yet, so maybe I'll try my strategy again and see how I go, and just go in flying blind and just have some fun with it like always. I think we're having a bit of a hostile takeover. We've got a fair few ski control boys joining these races now and having a lot of fun, and hopefully it's been nice clean racing from all the boys. But it's definitely been a lot of fun with the banter in our little Discord chat on the side. During the races. So I've got my brother in there as well. I got Goran joining now, and Dylan, the boss man, of course, on Mondays coming in. So it's been a lot of fun, and I thank the Gentlemen Drivers Club for putting on these events.
You guys
they're
haven't
really
been
well run and great fun.
You haven't been recruiting from any track days now that you're back open again, have you?
That's a Dylan question, mate. He's the boss. So
I'm save it for Monday night, Rob.
Get a discount if you represent Skid Control in the Gentlemen's Racing Club.
Oh mate, the ski control has been huge for driving experience for us boys. Like Kester was saying before, getting to drive all these different cool cars. Brady's another ski control, OG ski control guy as well. Getting to drive all these cool cars, and you jump in anything these days, and you get comfortable with it very quickly. It's a very innate skill to have, and very, very fortunate to have that opportunity. Thanks to Dill.
And I should say, just as we just mentioned, if you're listening, if you jump on the Skid Control Facebook page, you'll see that there are now. You can do some track days. There's some limited track days. So if you jump on there, you can get down with the Skid Control boys and get out on, I think it's short track down at QR. So if you want to get out on the track and you've been waiting, maybe jump on there and check that out.
Now that's what I've got a big problem about, the restrictions being. And a place as big as QR has the same restrictions in terms of the amount of people allowed into the premises or allowed on the premises as what a minuscule little build cafe does in the middle of Ipswich. It just doesn't add up to me. I know that we're all doing the right thing and the restrictions are in place for a reason, but the numerology of it just doesn't make sense. Okay. I'll move on. I thought someone was going to respond to that. Trent, you were going to say... Dear idea, you left me high and dry. Trent,
your microphone keeps cutting out at the end, so we keep thinking you've got a bit to say on the end of that. Is your mobile phone on again?
No, it's not. No, it's the yeah. Well, that's going to be next Tuesday, as I say. Officeworks didn't have any in stock, but now that the Wi-Fi network's off on the phone, so I don't know what's going on here.